Two more bodies have been recovered following flooding in New Hanover last week. The two were part of 3 people swept away during flash flooding, which left nearly 20 homes destroyed in that region. Officials have confirmed that all who went missing during the weather-related incident are now accounted for. The department has also assured residents whose homes were destroyed that they will receive the necessary assistance. Spokesperson Ndabezindle Sibiya.
One body, 2 bodies that were still missing have been, recovered, and they are now accounted for. And he has expressed his deepest condolences to the families of the victim.
Suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi has admitted he refused to have his fingerprints and those of his team taken for criminal record checks. In 2022, EMPD undertook a vetting process which saw almost 4,000 EMPD officers' fingerprints being taken for checks. Close to 300 officers were found to have criminal records during that process. Mkhwanazi refused to participate, claiming the process was flawed. Oren Singh reports.
Suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi claims the reason he or his team didn't comply with orders to avail themselves for fingerprint criminal record checks was because a private service provider was outsourced to do the work. He believes the company favored certain individuals within EMPD.
I said, let's do it with a recognized institution, a government institution, you see, that the process won't be manipulated.
As a senior officer at the time, Mkhwanazi was required to be vetted, but claims only state security could do it.
Let state security come here so that we give. I won't give any junior.
During his testimony last month, retired Deputy EMPD Chief Revo Spies revealed that of the 3,762 EMPD officers vetted in 2022, 275 had previous convictions and an additional 100 were awaiting trial. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
The EFF has laid a complaint of perjury with the Public Protector and the police against Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela. The party says Manamela gave conflicting submissions in court papers as well as in Parliament about whether he held meetings with the National Skills Authority before placing 3 sector education and training authorities under administration. The EFF says Manamela risks going down the same road as his predecessor Nobuhle Ngabane, who was removed from cabinet after misleading Parliament over the SETA board appointments. Babalondenze reports.
EFF MP Sihle Lonzi says when Buti Manamela released a gazette in August, placing 3 seaters under administration, he was supposed to consult with the National Skills Authority and the seaters in question. Lonzi says when he came to Parliament, he took MPs in his confidence and told them that he did not consult with the seaters and the NSA. But to their surprise, Lonzi says Manamela filed an answering affidavit against the local government seater, which took him to court, where he says he personally consulted with the NSA on the 7th of August. Lonzi says Manamela gave a different version in Parliament last month.
Now, what is clear here at the time was that either the minister was lying to Parliament or the minister was lying to the courts of South Africa, because these 2 versions are mutually exclusive. They can't both be true at the same time.
Lonzi says Manamela told a material lie to the court to try influence the outcome in the local government seater court challenge. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Cape Town.
We shift our focus to this now. Floyd Shibamvu has dismissed claims of a leadership crisis in his Africa Maibuya Movement party, saying many of those who left were fired for incompetence. The party recently overhauled its national leadership following a number of high-profile exits. Today, the party held a media briefing in Soweto. Thabiso Koba is there.
The Africa Maibuya Movement officially transitioned into a political party 3 months ago. Ahead of its first national convention this week, the party says it conducted a review of its leadership and concluded it needed a change. Maibuya's president Floyd Shibamvu.
They then opportunistically resigned to create a public perception that the organization is in a crisis, people are jumping off. We're removing them.
Shibamvu says it's important the newly formed party has high standards for its leaders.
The resignations, as the national chair said, that you have seen of the officials is because of incompetent people who were unable to do organizational work.
Despite this, Shibamvu says Maibuya remains a stable organization. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And the Trump administration has halted immigration applications from nationals from 19 countries. Authorities paused green card and citizenship processing for people from countries including Afghanistan, Yemen and Haiti, already subject to travel restrictions announced by President Donald Trump. According to a report, more than 1.4 million people have pending asylum applications that could be affected by the new pause. The move comes less than a week after two National Guard members were shot on patrol in Washington, D.C., leaving one dead and another critically injured. Gold is trading at $4,202.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.10 to the dollar, 22.71 to the pound, 19.92 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.51 a barrel.
Wet, slippery roads in rainy Joburg at this hour, so please allow for extra travelling time, maintain a safe following distance, and keep your headlines on. If you're heading towards Germiston, that's leaving the Midrand, travelling through Alex, there's about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound between the Patlu interchange and Van Buren. Also travelling through Sandton, heading towards the Joburg CBD, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. M1 southbound between Ethel Oakland and the Crown interchange.
And in your sports, Springboks hand a straightforward Rugby World Cup draw after being grouped alongside Italy, Georgia and Romania, while the hosts Australia will meet New Zealand in Pool A. The Proteas have been given 359 to chase down in that second ODI against India. Quinton de Kock already back in the pavilion in their innings, and Banyana pick up a win in Morocco in friendly.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers in most parts of the province. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Human Settlements Department in KZN has confirmed that 2 more bodies have been recovered following flooding in New Hanover last week.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Wednesday, the 3rd of December. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. I shouldn't have done it. That's what suspended Ekurhuleni Police Chief Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has to say about his decision to fit blue lights to Vusimuzi Matlala's vehicles. He's testifying at the Madlanga Commission and seemingly has a long way to go before he can relax. Oren Singh will wrap the day for us after 5. Some other stories we're covering. South Africa has not been invited to the first G20 meeting under a US presidency. That takes place later this month. What are the implications of that? We'll talk about that after 4. There's been quite a bit of good economic news lately, but business confidence is down. Not good news in a country that needs investment as badly as ours does. What's the problem and what would fix it? And by the way, if you're running a business, small, medium, large, it doesn't really matter. How confident are you feeling? And are you able and willing to start expanding what you do? In other words, investing in your part of the economy. Give me a call on that on 011 883 0702. We'll get the views of Kevin Lings from Stanlib at 25 past 3. And looking ahead, far ahead, but it'll be here before we know it, the draw for the 2027 Rugby World Cup was made in Australia today. Looks like in the group stages, South Africa got a pretty good deal, but yeah, is it a good thing to not have a couple of really tough games in those early rounds? What are the implications of the draw for the Springboks title defense? We'll get the crystal balls out. Yes, we do have oval-shaped ones at 20 past 4. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets. Speaking of the markets, the JSE has gained 275 points today. Glencore up by 3.8%, Kumba and Pepcore by 3.1%, and Sasol has gained 2.7%. Much tougher day, though, for Coronation, down by 5.3%, and for 91, down by 2.4%. Rand is currently trading at 17 Rand and 8 cents against the US dollar, stronger by 4 cents compared to this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 19 Rand 93, our currency weaker against the European currency by 6 cents, and 22 Rand 71 will get you a pound. That's a dip of 8 cents against sterling. Muteo Juaripe joins us with all the details at 4:25. We'll get sports news with Anthony Teixeira, including Anthony's take, I'm sure, on that World Cup draw. And Bali Dlamini is with us with the latest news headlines. That's coming up a little bit later at 3:30. And Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. And if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it as soon as we can possibly tell you. Always have to check stuff. We don't immediately go to air with the first bit of news. But if you've got some stuff for us, please do share it on 072 702 1702. Perhaps there's something important in your neighborhood that you would like to share with us. We'd like to hear that, or give us a call on 011 883 0702. This is 702 Drive. It's 12 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
As always, we've got lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about, and hopefully lots to talk to you about. And in the mix, as we always do, we chuck something that comes out not necessarily from the central points on the news agenda, but stuff that people are chatting about anyway. Something that's kind of a mix between news and corridor chat is the news that DSTV is saying at the end of December, number of channels will be cut. Discovery Family, Real Time, TNT Africa, the Food Network, Travel Channel, and CNN International are among them. Home and Garden Television in the mix as well. This to do with an arrangement that's not going to be carried on with Warner Brothers Discovery. It prompted quite a debate here that if you had to do Save My Channel, like in all the channels that you are able to get on cable television, what is the one channel that you would just do anything to make sure you didn't lose? And what is it? Tell us why as well. Call me with that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702. Drop us a note on that. I see we've already got something from Emmanuel who says, the Food Network, life without Guy Fieri would be a mess. Food Networks, I got bad news for you, Emmanuel. Food Network is already slated for the chop. It's off the menu, I suppose, would be the right way to put it. Kabazela, Jonathan Fairburn, you're a bit of a TV watcher. I know that you refer to watching Netflix and those kind of services. But in the cable bouquet, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology. What's the one you just, no, don't take away my channel? Fill in the number.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a big watcher of the DSTV channels, I must say, but in the house, the missus is, and whatever channel has the housewives of blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's so many franchises with the housewives.
Yes.
Whatever channel that is, don't take it away, otherwise the missus will be very, very unhappy. And then one for me, I suppose, but it would never happen. Well, you say never sometimes can come about, but I think it's SuperSport 3 with the football and all the soccer stuff. That channel, I mean, basically that's the only reason why I have paid for DSTVs for the sport. So those two channels for me, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for Falalang, the channels he doesn't want to see go. HGTV, it's off. TLC on its Home and Garden TV. TLC's on the way out. Discovery ID, which is Investigation Discovery. Bad news for you. All of them are going to be cut. How about you, Karabo Chalik? Good afternoon to you. What would you hate to lose?
So I'm glad the list that you just read out, I don't watch none of those channels. I'm glad so they can go. I don't care. As long as the Super Sports is there, don't touch with my soccer, please.
Cartoons.
Yeah, cartoons, obviously.
Lighty.
Yeah, for my boy. Otherwise, at this stage, yeah, the list that you are squashing, it works in the family because we hardly watch National Geographic.
And you don't care about Falalani and her loss of HGTV. You have no compassion.
None whatsoever.
None? Okay. It's
as
always
long
good
as I've
to
got,
be straight.
As long as I've got my news,
Yes.
CNN, I don't know when last I watched CNN.
Fake news. This is tremendous.
I don't know when last I watched CNN, but hey, yeah. So at this stage, are the premiums gonna go down as well? Because geesh, we're paying, eh?
Yeah, I'm not certain that goes with it. Nicolene also wanting to hold on to channel 177 HGTV again, Home and Garden. Now I said it's important to be compassionate. It is also important to be accurate. Let me just fix this straight away, and then I'll use the traffic reports in a moment to go away and deal with my blushes. Thank you, Emma, who says, please tell John it is Julius Mkhwanazi and not Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi at the commission today. There is a world of difference against every single measure you might use, but my apologies for that. Yes, indeed. Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi. Thank you, Emma, setting me right there. 3:17, guide us through a wet Gauteng.
Jeez.
Doesn't sound like it's going to be good.
Not at all, John. Not looking good as the rain continues to pour down throughout Joburg at this stage. Zooming into my radar on the map, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic already. That's leaving the Sandton area heading towards Midrand. This is on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and the Batlu interchange. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Edenville area heading towards Bedford View. This is R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Batlu interchange. Also traveling towards the Joburg CBD. Already delays. This is peak hour delays on the M1 southbound between Killarney Benz and the Crown interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 3:18. Right, let's go down to Parliament, specifically a briefing given by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in regard to South Africa's foreign policy. Clearly top of the agenda, I would have thought, or certainly well up that agenda, is the news that the first meeting of the G20 under US presidency, it's a gathering of the Sherpas. And if you're wondering what Sherpas are, I know we've spoken about it before, but just to remind you, Sherpas play a key role. I guess the term Sherpa comes from those people who help you get to a summit. So in the preparation for this year's summit, Sherpas absolutely crucial in hammering together agreements and agendas and generally keeping things on track. So first meeting will be later this month. I believe we're not invited. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN parliamentary reporter, has been listening to a briefing from the department. I understand, Lindsay, good afternoon to you. Director General Zane Dangor was there and sharing information and views. What did he have to say about first move from the Americans? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, Zane Dangor is being cautious about what he says. You've got to bear in mind that this is a public platform, but he has confirmed, we had seen media reports at News 24, that South Africa was not invited to Sunday's first meeting of Sherpas under the US presidency, and he has now confirmed that to have been the case. He says they learned, as in South Africa, learned of the meeting via other Sherpas from other member states, and that he was told by them that they had raised this concern with the US that South Africa had not been invited. And over and above all of that, John, Zane Dangor says government views this as a breach of protocol by the United States, saying the country does not have the right or the prerogative to decide whom they invite to this meeting when it comes to members, and that it is other countries that don't belong to the group of 20 whom you can consider inviting or not inviting, but not inviting South Africa at all as a member state is in their view, a breach of protocol.
So does it, I know, and your point's well taken that, he's being cautious, and some people would say, well, that is a good thing because South Africa's approach hasn't always been sufficiently cautious. I know we've had that view expressed by a number of people, including analyst Dr. Kingsley Makubela. But back to what happened today. Do we have any sense as to whether South Africa will lobby the other G20 members, apart from the United States, for some kind of vote on the issue? I mean, how do we move forward on this? Because if America says you can't come and either revokes visas that have already been issued or refuses visas that are applied to, we have something of a stalemate, I would have thought.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they deal with it, John. As I said, this is third or fourth hand information. Director General Zane Dangle says that he has been reliably informed from the other Sherpas who were at Sunday's meeting that they did raise their displeasure. But he's not saying exactly what South Africa's next move is going to be in terms of how they break the stalemate or how they take a matter forward. I'm not quite sure that there has ever been a situation where a member state of a bloc of countries is not invited to a particular meeting, or in this case, the whole G20 of 2026. But how the meeting did conclude is the committee chairperson, Supra Mahumapelo, asking the Department of International Relations to help facilitate a meeting with their U.S. counterparts. Mr. Mahumapelo feels that it is time that Parliament speaks directly to their equals, lay the cards on the table, put their viewpoints forward in terms of what their views are about the way South Africa is being treated in relation to the G20 going forward under the U.S. presidency, and also to deal with other forms of disinformation that have been coming out of the U.S., including claims of a white genocide and the like. Whether that is a good move, whether something like that might even happen, we don't get an indication from this particular meeting, but that is how this meeting concluded today, with that request being put to the department to help facilitate a meeting of the legislatures.
And just finally, I mean, anything else on the agenda that is of importance? Obviously, I've focused in on what appears to be the biggest news angle today, Lindsay, the news coming out of the G20. But what else was said that we ought to know about?
Also, again, the foreign relations policy, really, as far as Israel is concerned. We know that the EFF has consistently pushed for government to execute a parliamentary resolution that it, for example, closes its embassy in Tel Aviv and cut off all ties there. There were ambassadors from the Middle East region present remotely in this meeting today. Caution being expressed by South Africa's ambassador to Palestine, Sean Baineveld, saying that it might not be the wisest move to completely shut down the mission in Tel Aviv. Incidentally, there are no ambassadors or chief diplomats stationed in Tel Aviv, but we learned today at this meeting that there are at least 5 staff members in the mission in Tel Aviv, which includes a political secretary and a consular secretary and a driver and the like, and that costs South Africa about 400,000 rand a month in salaries. The EFF thinking that this is a waste of time and should be cut down. And Ambassador Baineveld cautioning MPs, really saying they've got to be mindful that South Africa having a presence in Ramallah is very much linked to ties with Israel, facilitating movement between the territories. It would not be that easy just to have an ambassador in an occupied territory and have no connection to Israel whatsoever. And again, the EFF also wanting to know what South Africa's position would be about the U.S. Eventually sending an ambassador to South Africa. We know that appointment has not yet been confirmed. Leo Bovell has appeared before one Senate committee, but there are still several hoops for him to jump through. And the EFF wanting government to express a view on how it would treat a person like that coming to South Africa, the things that he has said in the past, and again, Director General Dangle being cautious, saying we need to weigh this up. South Africa also needs to have a reciprocal relationship and an ambassador in the US at some point, and so that they would really have to consider that when the time comes as to who might then eventually come to South Africa to represent the United States.
Thank you so much, Lindsay Dentlier. Sounds like a very, very interesting session in Parliament, Department of International Relations and Cooperation. How do you think we should respond to not being invited to the first G20 meeting? It's an open challenge. It's an open declaration of how the US, it would seem, plans to roll on this one. I like the sound, by the way, of what you said, that Zane Dangle, certainly in public forums, keeping it on the down low, in factual, firm where he has to be, but not committing to too much and keeping the language neutral. Makes sense to me, but maybe you've got a different view. 26 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, as I said at the start of the show, there have been some good developments. I think many people seem to find something promising in the GDP figures. The interest rates have come down, and there's some other good things as well. We're off the grey list, and we are looking a little better in terms of at least one of the major ratings agency. Business confidence, according to the very latest figures, is up, but business confidence is still low. Now, what does business confidence mean and why does it matter? Let's welcome Kevin Lings. He's Chief Economist at Stanlib Asset Management. Mr. Lings, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time on 702. My understanding is business confidence gives us some indication of the likelihood of whether companies are going to expand their businesses, invest more. Am I taking it too literally or is it a more complex measure than that?
Afternoon, John. No, that's exactly right. It reflects essentially the business sector's comfort with what's going on in the economy in terms of economic activity, policy, the level of, overall business activity, and whether or not they are willing to invest, expand, and employ.
Yes.
And there's a very strong relation, a very good relationship, certainly in South Africa and other countries, between confidence and fixed investment. It's an important and a powerful relationship, and we know that in the past, when South African business confidence has moved appreciably higher, it's corresponded with companies being willing to invest, and then once you start to invest, that typically would lead to an increase in employment. So it's something we desperately need because we obviously need employment. And as you say, the confidence level's gone up. So it was sitting at 39 index points. Mm-hmm. It's gone to 44. What does that mean? Think of it as anything below 50 is still a weak level of confidence.
Right.
So 50 is kind of the cutoff level. If you're willing to go back all the way to 2004, 2005, then South Africa's business confidence was at an 80 index level.
Wow.
And that's pretty much as high as you're going to get. And under those circumstances, it wasn't surprising that the economy was growing at over 4%. Investment was very high. We were creating more than 500,000 jobs a year. There were a lot of positives back at that point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now for quite some time, we just haven't gone back above the 50. It came off after 2010, and remember we had all the state capture and then the deterioration in infrastructure, and throughout that whole phase, business confidence has been lackluster.
So
it got incredibly low, at the beginning of COVID, so there it fell to below 10 index points, which you can understand. COVID, the lockdown, there was a lot of uncertainty. So that was kind of the low. So going from 39 to 44, it's helpful, but we need it above 50 and moving to 60 or 70. That's what we want.
I suppose you could say if you move, as you say, Kevin Lings, from 39 to 44, it means, less people are less worried or more people are less worried. But is there a number? Is there a tipping point? Because presumably business people talk to each other, supply chains create material relationships between somebody who makes something that somebody else uses. I mean, if you get beyond a certain point, might you see an acceleration? In other words, not just incremental growth like those 5 points that we've just had, but where 5 can suddenly be 10 and 10 could be 20.
Yes, that's exactly how it works. So you do get to a tipping point. Difficult to know exactly where that is. And historically, it has been above the 50 index level. But you do get to a tipping point where there's enough people being confident that they're willing to expand and employ. And then it turns out that CEOs suffer from FOMO. They really worry about losing out. They worry about other businesses investing, and they say to themselves, what are we missing? Why are they investing? And then they get nervous that they're going to be left behind, and then they want to join in and look for opportunities, and then the thing becomes self-fulfilling. So once you get into that cycle, then you're in a very fortuitous place, because there's not a hell of a lot more you need to do. It'll kind of become self-reinforcing. So that's what you want to get. You want to provide enough confidence in terms of policy, in terms of various action you're taking on improving infrastructure, cleaning up corruption, and you get confidence up where it now just takes on a life of its own and the private sector takes care of stuff.
Thank you so much, Kevin Links. Really, really interesting. And you know, these indices that come out, and what we try and do is take them and get someone like Kevin Links who explains things so clearly, and connect them to some of the things you might be observing around you. So the question I asked earlier again, but you might have missed it. I'm keen to know if you are involved in the decision-making aspects of any business, small, medium, or large. Firstly, I thought about your levels of confidence, but secondly, what would tip you into investing, expanding? And this doesn't have to be on a massive scale. It may just be buying 4 more scooters for your delivery business or whatever it might be. But please weigh in on that, because I really would like to get the feeling from businesses out there as to how you connect to all of this. 702 Drive, it's time for the very latest Eyewitness News. This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your voucher advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The bail application of Michael Sandlana, leader of the International Pentecost Holiness Church, has stalled in the Commercial Crimes Court. He will now have to wait 3 months for the matter to be heard. Sandlana, who was arrested alongside High Court Judge Portia Pahlane last week on corruption charges, returned to court today after his matter was postponed for bail. Pahlane, her son Kagiso, and the church's spokesperson Vusindala were released on bail last week, but the state opposed Sandlana's release after his bodyguards allegedly assaulted police officers during his arrest. Sandlana is accused of bribing the judge presiding over the church's succession battle. NPA spokesperson Lumka Mahanjana says Sandlana remains behind bars.
The case against the leader of the International Pentecost Holiness Church, Bekumuzi Mike Sandlane, was postponed to the 6th of March 2026 for further investigations because Sandlana was not ready to proceed with his bail application.
Let's stay in the courts. The prosecution in the high-profile trial of Nafiz Modak started linking the alleged underworld gang boss to the murder of Nicholas Heerskap. It's the state's case. Modak is behind the murder of Heerskap, who was the father of a Hawks officer investigating Modak at the time. A state witness previously testified how one of Modak's co-accused instructed him to murder the Hawks officer, but in a case of mistaken identity, he killed his father instead. Carlo Peterson reports.
Nicholas Heerskap was shot dead at his home in Melkbosstrand on the 9th of July in 2019. At the time, Heerskap's son, Nico Heerskap, was investigating Nafiz Modak for commercial crimes. State Prosecutor Greg Vormerans today started questioning Modak about allegedly plotting the murder. Vormerans mentioned a previous state witness, a self-confessed gunman, who can only be identified as Mr. A, who testified it was Modak who hired him to perform the hit.
The shooting that took the life of his father was a case of mistaken identity, especially when I couple it to Mr. A's evidence. I cannot confirm
Modak insists he was not aware Heerskap was investigating him at the time. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
It's all systems go for the ANC's 16th Regional Elective Conference in Johannesburg, with delegates wrapping up their registrations. The three-day gathering is set to begin at 5 this afternoon at the Cedar Woods Hotel in Sandton. Branch delegates will deliberate on key organizational reports, with voting for new ANC regional leaders expected to take place tomorrow. Incumbent chairperson Dada Morero is seeking re-election but faces strong competition from Loyiso Masuku, who enjoys significant support. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Out of the ANC's 135 branches in Johannesburg, 125 have qualified to participate in the party's 16th Regional Elective Conference. Around 340 delegates have been accredited and will vote tomorrow for a new leadership structure to serve for the next 3 years. Outgoing ANC Regional Chairperson Dada Morero is expected to officially open the gathering this evening. Most of tonight's proceedings will take place behind closed doors, as internal organizational matters are set to be discussed. At the moment, delegates are at the Premier Hotel in Sandton, where they are currently registering to gain access to the elective conference. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And in India, Delhi has recorded 200,000 cases of acute respiratory illnesses as the city struggles with pollution levels. The Union Ministry and Family Welfare says the cases were recorded between 2022 and 2024. Delhi's air quality index has been over 20 times the World Health Organization's limits for weeks now. The Delhi High Court is expected to hear a petition calling for urgent measures to curb the hazardous air pollution. The government says it is closely monitoring rising pollution levels through a national surveillance system. It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers in most parts of the province. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 27 degrees.
Well, at this stage in Midrand, heading towards a Centurion, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the N1 northbound between Olifantsfontein Road and the Bethlehem Change. 4 ways traffic remains heavily backed up. N1 northbound between Winnie Mandela Drive and the Bethlehem Change. Also, if you're leaving the Sandton area, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Grayston Drive.
The top story in EWN, the bail application of Michael Sandlana, leader of the International Pentecost Holiness Church, has stalled in the Commercial Crimes Court.
Let's be honest, no one actually reads the fine print. Those exclusions and clauses, clever wording that sounds helpful but isn't. And that's the thing with insurance. Everyone thinks they can do it themselves until boom, something goes wrong. That's where Vouch pulls through. Real advice, real people who actually know what repudiation means. Being smart isn't about knowing everything, it's about knowing who to ask.
Vouch, someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes. At 10 a.m., Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m., Hushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m., Richard Mwamba
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Live your best hoop life with Hollywood Bets. Bring your big game energy to the court as we welcome a thrilling new NBA season. Bet 50 Rand or more on any basketball fixture, and you could score a share of 250,000 Rand in cash or an epic NBA shopping spree. Bounce into blistering action. Your ultimate slam dunk moment awaits. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Mom, I know what I want to be when I grow up.
Oh, really?
I want to be an astronaut.
An astronaut? Aren't you aiming a little high?
Well, that's where you come in. I need you to buy me Pediasure. It has 27 vitamins and minerals to support my growth so that I hit all the milestones and it's scientifically proven.
Okay, Miss Liver. Where can I buy Pediasure?
It's available at pharmacies and retailers in South Africa.
Pediasure by Abbott. Approved by kids to fuel their dreams.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi A1 from $6,999 per month with no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi A1. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Oh no, John. HGTV's going? And it's become my background noise, but also gotten some inspiration. It's entertaining. Okay, granted, the seasons of Fix My Flip and I Wrecked My Home, they finished, but I mean, I'd like to see it again. But yeah, I'm not happy about HGTV going.
Hey John, happy Wednesday. It's Musa here. Out of those channels that you have listed, I would want to save the Discovery Channel. I'd want to save the Food Channel. The other channels that you did not mention that are not part of this would be sports. Everything else I don't really care about.
Yeah, quite a lot of people saying, well, I mainly get DSTV for sport. There's a couple, though, in answer to our question, which channel in whatever you get off satellite TV would you absolutely fight to defend? Siabonga says BBC Brits. Simpiwe says BET for Black Gold. Michelle speaks for quite a few people and says, I cancelled DSTV 18 months ago. I don't miss it at all, but I'm not a sports fanatic. Sports seems to be absolutely crucial in many people's views. Vimpy says DSTV can completely shut down. Rebroadcast Center should be their name. Lindani would bat for the Supersport channels and the Home channel. Sport, it keeps coming. And Clayton, Nat Geo Wild would be the channel that he would absolutely want to keep. 17 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
So we have a draw for the World Cup in Australia in 2027. What does it look like? Anthony Teixeira, you have the details. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. We will start with the Springboks and their quest for a historic third successive Rugby World Cup and their fifth overall. It began this morning with that draw for the 2027 showpiece. The world number one side are in Pool B with a likely physical battle awaiting them against Italy, Georgia and Romania. On the World's Rugby live stream, Most Capped Wallaby James Slipper highlighted how the back-to-back rugby championship winners are the world leaders.
Well, that's the point. Title defence, they've won the last two. They're clearly number one at the moment in world rugby. So regardless of any team that's coming up against South Africa, you're going to have your hands full. But you know, the Italians have shown they've beaten the Wallabies this year, and they've put a lot of teams under pressure. So yeah, there's quite a few good matchups in there. You know, Georgia and Romania as well.
With a look to the knockouts, a likely quarterfinal between greatest rivals the Boks and All Blacks would be on the cards if both of them win their groups. The New Zealanders will have the hosts Australia to meet first in the pool stage, though. We expected the verdict on Eben Etzebeth's eye gouge red card against Wales today. However, reports are that it's been delayed till Sunday, with the panel unable to agree on an appropriate punishment. If it's deemed to have been intentional, the ban imposed could be as much as 24 weeks, while if it's reckless, he'll receive a much lesser punishment. Regardless, he won't be permitted to play for the Sharks this weekend against Toulouse in the Champions Cup. It's likely his defence team cited provocation by Welsh player Alex Mann. In cricket, the Proteas at the crease in their run chase in the second ODI against India. They're 115 for the loss of 1 in the 20th over. Aiden Markram there on 62 alongside Temba Bavuma, who's on 39. Unfortunately for Quinton de Kock, he's already back in the pavilion. South Africans stemmed the flow of runs in the middle overs, but were still handed a mammoth target of 359 to go chase out for victory. More than runnable centuries from Kohli and Gakwad, as well as a quick-fire 66 from KL Rahul. Marco Janssen, the pick of the under-pressure Proteas bowlers, as he claimed 2 for 63. Nanda Berger was also picking up a wicket, as well as Lungu Ngidi. Let's switch now to football, where Mamelodi Sundowns will close out their 2025 with a clash against Siwalele, a team they find themselves 10 places and points better off in the Betway Premiership. At the same time, 7:30, Kaizer Chiefs will be playing their first league game since November 4th as they tackle Chippa United. Amazulu moving up to third on the log last night with a 1-0 win over Golden Arrows. In selected Premier League fixtures, Liverpool are at Anfield against high flyers Sunderland. Table toppers Arsenal meet Brentford. Chelsea play Leeds. Wins Tuesday evening for Man City and Everton. 2-2 between Spurs and Newcastle. And Banyana will take a huge confidence boost into next year's WAFCON as they saw out a 2-0 win in their preparation games against Morocco in Morocco. This forms part of that prep for the upcoming WAFCON, which will be hosted by the North Africans. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, it's really bucketing down in Joburg. That makes driving difficult. That makes Karabo Chali and what he has to say very important. What's up?
Yeah, I guess it is typical Highveld afternoon thunder showers at this stage. John, wet, slippery roads throughout Joburg. So please allow for extra traveling time. Maintain a safe following distance and keep your headlights on. Midrand at this stage, bumper-to-bumper traffic, N1 southbound. This is heading towards the Sandton area between Olifantsfontein Road and the Patlu interchange. 4 ways, also traffic congested. Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between Bryanston Drive and Uranium. Still in 4 ways, traffic pressure. N1 northbound from Winnie Mandela Drive all the way to the Patlu interchange. If you're leaving Sandton at this hour, this is heavy delays on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston Drive. And finally, if you're traveling from Alex, traveling towards Germiston, expect heavy delays N3 south between the Patlu interchange and Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Still to come on 702 Drive. In a moment, we'll be in conversation with Dr. Musi Maimane. He is the leader of the political party Build One South Africa. This week in Parliament, BOSA, as it's better known, tabled a motion looking for a review of the 30% pass mark. And I think proposing that they don't need to move it up immediately, but there should be a gradual increase of that particular bit of government education policy. We'll talk to him because the motion was rejected. Most parties voted against it. I think the final score was something like 187 to 90. I'll give you the exact numbers in a moment, but Dr. Maimane with us shortly. But before we do that, Anthony Teixeira, is there a channel that you would say, no, don't take my channel, fill in the number? And don't be generic, please, and say, no, if they took away all the sport, that's not on the cards. One channel.
One channel that I would fight for. It has to be 128, WWE.
What is that? Wrestling?
Yes.
Okay.
100% I would fight for that. Like real fight, not even play fight, entertainment fights.
Yeah, it would be the only real fight that's ever been connected to the channel.
I'm going to be totally honest. There were years where I didn't watch wrestling. I didn't know how to access it. I didn't know. And I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was growing up. And when it returned back, I'm dead serious. No jokes. When it returned back to DSTV, I was like, this is amazing. I don't have enough time in the week to watch everything from like SmackDown to... No, I'm fine with that. Okay. And NXT. But I do watch like the big, long pay-per-views, which are now called premium live events, where they're like 3-4 hours long.
So you watch people throwing each other around.
I mean, you watch movies. It's exactly the same thing. It's predetermined. You know that there's going to be an outcome that everybody's decided on. It's just about how we get there.
Is it
and
real?
Sometimes doesn't matter if it's real or not. The injuries are real. And sometimes it's the journey that's more important than the destination or how we arrive at the destination.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's very interesting. One of the very first stories I ever did as a journalist of any kind, but as a newspaper journalist, I did a feature on wrestling in South Africa.
Interesting.
And I spoke to the guy who was the big promoter of wrestling at the time, a guy called Sammy Cohen. And after chatting and watching, I said to him, "Is wrestling fixed?" He said to me, "Tell me, are you having a good time?" So I said, "I'm having a great time." He says, "Well, why do you care?"
Fair enough.
So
Exactly, fair.
There we go. I had a brilliant evening at the wrestling. I might tell you more about it some other time, but not right now. Let's get into the next story. It's 10 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
So to Parliament we go, where the political party Build One South Africa tried to get MPs to get behind the idea of a gradual increase in the 30% pass mark. They felt this could be done gradually, with 50% the eventual target. Disappointment for Build One South Africa and other parties that got behind on the motion, including the EFF, the IFP and Action SA, but with the biggest political parties, the ANC and the DA, and a large number of others as well, rejecting the motion. It is back to the drawing board, perhaps, or certainly back to a conversation that Bosa believes we ought to be having as a country. The party leader is Dr. Musi Maimane. He joins us now on 702 Drive. Dr. Maimane, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. I mean, in terms of what you were actually proposing, I mentioned a gradual increase. Did you, in your motion, detail the process, and perhaps there would be some other forms of review as you move through the gears from 30 to 50? What exactly did you put before the House? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to fellow South Africans. Of course, the motion dealt with the assessment criteria, which you highlight, which speaks to, in my mind, I would imagine that you would go 5% incrementally over the next number of years so that you prepare each cohort as it's coming in. But it also wasn't just about the assessment criteria. We went broader and spoke about, if you set the bar higher, there are things that you do to make sure you achieve that, i.e. fixing ECD centers, i.e. ensuring that the quality of teaching is also matched. You increase resources that goes into that. So an entire reform of the education system with the view that says that we believe in our kids and we believe they can get better marks than what they've been asked for. So it is indeed, for me, the great disappointment is not for whether we as a political party get our point across or not. It's whether the system genuinely believes in our young people. And it became quite apparent to me that between the ANC and the DA, they genuinely believe that a young person must be deemed proficient at 30%, which is a lack of belief in the future of that child.
So, I mean, I've had an issue with this number before, and the thing that I could never get my head around was, how can you pass if you know less than half of the material? Now, I don't know if I'm taking 30% too literally, but I was decent enough in maths for me to be fairly convinced that the conclusion I draw is right. I mean, without asking you to motivate the points that your opponents made, I mean, what arguments did they make in favor, and which of them perhaps for you stood out as the least sustainable?
Well, they argue the case that the most important thing to do in education is to fix the system. So the number at the end doesn't matter. And I'm going that for the first point I made is a lack of ambition as a country.
Yes.
Our peer countries already assess their young people at a higher level. So if we want to compete internationally, we need to benchmark ourselves against that. They argue that more and more learners would fail if you increase the pass mark. And I'm arguing the fact that, well, if that's the case, and by your argument, well, let's reduce it to 25 and keep going down, because more and more people will pass in that instance, which doesn't make sense. And the ultimate issue that I take umbrage with is the fact that they've really divided the country into two, in that if you are in quintile 4 and 5 schools and private and higher and independent schools, your assessment is much higher, and therefore naturally those learners, you'll never accept in an IEB curriculum that they'll get 50%. They'll want for more. Whereas for poor kids who are going to quintile 1, 2, and 3, then they are really confined to a level of unemployability. And so I found it really a genuine lack of ambition on the part of our government.
You talk about this, and I'll read something that that you quoted as saying you'll give me any corrections that are due if necessary. And you said, today we lost the vote to end 30% as a pass mark at any level in our public education system. The following parties voted to keep Bantu education standards: NCDA, Freedom Front, Patriotic Alliance, and Al Jama. They hugged incompetence and embraced mediocrity. Now South Africa knows. Now, I want to engage with you, Dr. Maimane, about your analogy with Bantu education, which was designed, I think, by a common consensus. I mean, you just have to read what was said at the time of its introduction, to deliberately undermine the possibilities of people getting an education, both in terms of the literal sense, i.e. degrees and so on, but also to actually numb and stultify minds. I mean, there are many things that the current policy does, but do you actually believe that is the intention? Because that's the analogy you're drawing.
Yeah, my issue here, John, is, and that's why the analogy is apt. When Bantu education was introduced, it designed for Black South Africans to simply be farm workers, and that's why also the introduction of curriculum to be in Afrikaans. And so it was designed to say your extrinsic value as it pertains to education cannot deliver you to higher education, cannot deliver you to being able to be anything other than that. Now, when a young person achieves 30%, the current proof in that pudding of that numerical number is the fact that 2 out of 3 young people cannot work, which means effectively they are deemed to live in a life of unemployability. Secondly, the throughput in TVET colleges means that in the main, the majority of South Africans who are particularly poor, who majority are black, means that for them, they're going to end up in a space where not only are they unemployable, but they can't progress further because no university is going to accept a child who has that sort of outcome, and they're not going to compete internationally. So to me, it is in fact a continuation of that. It is a prioritization of access and not a measurement of quality, meaning that actually we are preparing youth for unemployability.
And just finally, Dr. Maimane, I suppose we could go half full or half empty. Ironically, you got just under 30% of support on the votes cast. But on a serious note, I mean, you could look at this and say, well, you know, the IFP, the EFF are substantial parties with a reach into diverse and important communities in our country. Are the three of you going to get together and say what next and indeed come up with a plan?
Certainly, and I think that it's not just the political parties now. It's parents, the school governing bodies, it's unions that recognize that this is an issue. And no one is saying that that is the only issue in education, of course. But what I'm saying is that we must have a goal to aim for, and more South Africans are coming together. And ultimately, even post the vote, there have been more people writing in saying we want to participate in action that ensures that we can improve that, because as parents, we'd never accept this for our kids. So there'll be more coming, and certainly it'll culminate with action taking place on the 12th of January when the next matric results are announced, with this fictitious number that we've got more kids through the system, yet at age 10, 8 out of 10 of them could not read for meaning. So we have to reform our education, John, if we're going to compete with anyone in the world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Musi Maimane. He's the leader of Build One South Africa. I think it's a crucial topic that they've raised, and I have to tell you, if I was a member of Parliament, no chance of that. But if I was in the House, I would have voted with also the EFF and the IFP. I cannot get my brain around that you can pass knowing less than half of the work. And perhaps that's simplistic. That's me, but what about you? And do you think there's a case to be made for saying, well, no, we've got to fix the system at all, and picking on this doesn't resolve the deeper problems? Again, my view is that, you know, the fact that something doesn't fix everything doesn't mean it doesn't fix anything. But that's me. Let's get your view on that, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702 702 Drive.
Your uncle says buy the other brand. He also still uses a Hotmail address. You do you. You do Mini, the Mini Countryman. Available from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate, calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December, subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
This festive, when your family gathers, feed them the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal. Feed Auntie, who's in charge of the key to that storeroom. And feed that niece that makes the strict grandparents do TikTok challenges. And that cousin that watches the same movie that comes in part 1, 2, 3, 4, and many more. Yeah, you can feed it too. Gather them all for the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal for only $3.99. Eat at Nando's and pay 40 Rand less. Nando's, oh, what a place.
Some numbers bring instant stress, like a speeding fine, another petrol price hike, or that one debit order you forgot about, again. But not all numbers bring panic. Some bring calm and actual life-saving support. With 24/7 emergency support and over 300 ambulances, ER24 is there when you need us most. Don't wait for an emergency. See it, say it, save it. 084 124.
Stop. Turn off the noise. Put down the phone. Have dinner with your family. Sit on the couch with your mum. Belly flop into bed for a power nap. Make your house home again with the furniture you'll love at prices you'll love even more. Celebrate style and celebrate savings at Decophone Furniture with incredible discounts every day till end January. In-store or at decophonesa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Zuma Sambudla's sisters approach Parliament over Russia recruitment scandal, and 2 more bodies recovered in New Hanover in KZN. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The half-sisters of former MP Duduzile Zuma Sambudla have approached Parliament to help return the men believed to have been duped by her into fighting in the Russia-Ukraine war. Today, Chairperson of Parliament's International Relations Committee, Supra Mahumapelo, informed his colleagues that he met with the 3 siblings in Johannesburg on Monday. 5 people appeared in court in connection with this matter this week, but Zuma Sambudla was not amongst them. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Committee Chairperson Supra Mahumapelo says in his meeting with Zuma family members, he was told about the case one of the siblings has laid against Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, whom they believe facilitated the recruitment. Mahumapelo says he was told by the family that 2 Botswanan men are believed to be among those taken to the front lines of the war. Mahumapelo said once he met with the sisters, he contacted their mother, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, to confirm the information.
As a leader and as a mother also, she's also quite concerned about the situation, and that the family will be very happy if the children can return home safely.
Zuma Sambudla had been a member of the International Relations Committee until her resignation as an MP last week. Director General Zain Dangor says government is working with diplomatic missions both in Ukraine and Russia to secure the men's return. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Police have seized a vehicle believed to belong to the bodyguards of alleged crime kingpin Katiso KT Molefe. 2 men were arrested earlier today at the Alexandra Magistrates Court, where Molefe made a brief appearance. Molefe and 3 others are facing 35 counts, including murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, as well as the possession of an unlicensed firearm. His matter has been transferred to the Johannesburg High Court for trial. Khomotso Modise has more.
Katiso KT Molefe was heavily guarded and surrounded by armed men as he entered the Alexandra Magistrates Court, but police arrested 2 of the men for not having the requisite permits to carry AK-47 rifles and ammunition. Spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
It's quite important that security officials or bodyguards, when they report on duty and they're handed over with firearms, that the person responsible must issue them a permit for carrying the firearms. But also, that particular security official must be in possession of a competency certificate to utilize that particular firearm.
Mate says the vehicle the men were traveling in was also seized because the license disc did not correspond with its number plate. While 2 of his bodyguards are now arrested, Molefe remains out on bail. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News in Alexandra.
Let's move to Pretoria now, where suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi has admitted he refused to have his fingerprints and those of his team taken for criminal record checks. In 2022, EMPD undertook a vetting process which saw almost 4,000 EMPD officers' fingerprints being taken for checks. Close to 300 were found to have criminal records during that process. Mkhwanazi refused to participate in the process, claiming it was flawed. Oren Singh has more.
Suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi claims the reason he or his team didn't comply with orders to avail themselves for fingerprint criminal record checks was because a private service provider was outsourced to do the work. He believes the company favored certain individuals within EMPD.
I said, let's do it with a recognized institution, a government institution, you see, that the process won't be manipulated.
As a senior officer at the time, Mkhwanazi was required to be vetted, but claims only state security could do it.
Let state security come here so that we give. I won't give any junior.
During his testimony last month, retired Deputy EMPD Chief Revo Spies revealed that of the 3,762 EMPD officers vetted in 2022, 275 had previous convictions and an additional 100 were awaiting trial. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the Human Settlements Department has confirmed that 2 more bodies have been recovered following flooding in New Hanover last week. The 2 were part of 3 people who were swept away during flash flooding, which left nearly 20 homes destroyed in the region. Officials have confirmed that all who went missing during the weather-related incident are now accounted for. The department has also assured residents whose homes were destroyed that they will be receiving the necessary assistance. Spokesperson Ndabezinhle Sibiya.
1 body, 2 bodies that were still missing have been, recovered and they are now accounted for. And he has expressed his deepest condolences to the families of the victim.
And in Australia, video streaming giant YouTube has hit back at the country's looming social media ban for under 16s. The site has described the move as rushed and says the law will not fulfill its promise to make kids safer online. YouTube was originally slated to escape the ban, but the Australian government changed tact in July. From December the 10th, Australia will require major social media platforms as well as websites to remove underage accounts or face hefty fines. Some popular apps and websites such as Roblox, Pinterest and WhatsApp are currently exempt, but the list remains under review. Gold is trading at $4,202.83 an ounce. The rand is at 17.09 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.91 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.53 a barrel.
Traffic remains heavily congested in the Fourways area on Winnie Mandela Drive between Bryanston Drive and Uranium. Driving through Melrose heading towards Sandton, there's huge delays. M1 northbound. This is from Killarney Bends to the Patlu interchange. Also leaving the Sandton area, traffic heavily backed up on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Grayston Drive.
And in your sport, Proteas lose their second wicket as they chase down a 3-5-9 for victory against India. Captain Themba Bavuma gone for 46. The Springboks need to navigate a physical pool with Italy, Georgia and Romania in 2027 if they're to complete a Rugby World Cup three-peat of victories. And Lego gets involved with the FIFA World Cup ahead of Friday's draw.
A partly cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at a high of 21. Pretoria at a low of 15 and a high of 23. And Vereeniging 14 also at a high of 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The half-sisters of former MP Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla have approached Parliament to help them return the men believed to have been duped by her into fighting in the Russia-Ukraine war.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes past 4 on 702 Drive. Good to have you with us. Are you out in the rain? When I looked out of the window last, which I must admit was a little while ago, it was absolutely bucketing down. And these are very difficult conditions in which to drive. And I hope that you're driving as safely as you possibly can. I know there are problems out on the east side of Joburg. Alex is having some difficulties. We'll give you details of that fairly shortly. Apart from that, how's your day been? The middle of the week, and we're getting deeper and deeper into December. Some of you already starting to think about leave and not working quite as hard as you've been working all year. If you've got something really cool planned, do tell us about it. We can but envy you and celebrate with you if you've got something good on the horizon. We have some good radio for you in a moment. We're going to look at what's happening in the G20. The United States has announced the date and set up for the first meeting of the G20 under a US presidency. South Africa has not been invited. We'll look at the implications of that and who might do what in response. We've heard, I don't know where I've heard this actually, we'll get clarity on that shortly, but that Germany has indicated their displeasure and indicated that this is not the way the G20 works in regard to a country like South Africa, because we are a member. But more on that in a moment. We'll chat to someone from the South African Institute of International Affairs. After that, we're going to go out to the Senzo Mayiwa murder trial. You may recall yesterday, real drama there where it was revealed both at the court but then later confirmed by the police. The police believed they had, quote, strong intelligence that there were plots to murder the judge, the prosecutor, and possibly the investigating officer as well. And there might have been others. Now there have been some developments affecting one of the defense lawyers. Linda Mnisi is covering this for Newsroom Africa. He's been on it all day and indeed covering this story in great detail over a long period of time. We'll talk to him about that at 20 minutes past 4. We asked you about TV channels that you would defend, I wouldn't say to the death, defend to the limits of your decoder. But that's in the light of the fact that the new management, the new owners at MultiChoice are going to be dropping some of the channels, in particularly those delivered to them by Warner Brothers. That contract is coming to an end. So we'll hear from you as to which of the channels you would absolutely not want to see go. And we've also got some of you responding to what Dr. Musi Maimane, leader of BOSA, has been saying in regard to his party's bid, and they had the backing of the EFF and the IFP to see that 30% pass mark pushed up 5% a year until it's 50%. Let's hear your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John, Rose here. I think for this stand, I am voting BOSA. It's 30% is just ridiculous. Like, what are we expecting? What are we hoping for? So I'm with BOSA on this one. Thank you.
Afternoon, John. I just think the biggest thing with South Africa is that we like to put a band-aid on a wound. We should not be thinking about education from matric. Education starts from ground level. And if we do proper, we fix things at the bottom, like from grade R, grade 1, where kids can read fluently, they can write, they understand what they are learning from ground roots. We don't need to be debating this 30% because we are saying 30% because we failed them from ground level. That's why we are saying, okay, because we failed these kids from day one of schooling, let's just get them through. And that's setting a disadvantage for poor communities, because after that, what do these kids do? What do these kids do? I mean, it's a sad thing. I think the education system, I miss Mary Metcalf, because my goodness, things were different then.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we'd have to take the sports channels out of the equation. I think that's the reason why 90% of people actually have DSTV in the first place. Anyways, mine is the History Channel. I've always loved history, and if I can't find something to watch, I'll just turn on the History Channel and I'll find whatever's playing. I'll immerse myself into so quickly. So yeah, for me, it's the History Channel. Don't let that one go.
Yeah, as far as I know, the History Channel is safe. I don't think it is a Warner Brothers Discovery Channel. I'm just checking the list now. No, it's not. Okay, so you're safe with the History Channel. You know, on the point about what we do about this education issue, I absolutely agree with the sentiments that you got to fix it from the bottom up. But that doesn't mean you can't pay attention to things that may not solve everything, but do solve something. And I strongly feel that if we were to start moving that 30% up, we would acknowledge that this thing is not working as well as it should, that 30% doesn't set the standards high enough. And then, yes, you build from the bottom exactly as you said, ma'am, that to make sure that kids can pass at 35, can pass at 40%. I'm not convinced by the Band-Aid analogy. Band-Aid suggests you put Band-Aid on a very trivial little thing, but you do put bandages and tourniquets on severe wounds where you're losing blood. And then you said to yourself, well, how did people get wounded in that way? And where did it come from? And how do we stop that happening? And how do we make sure if they need a blood transfusion, we give it to them? So I don't like the use of the word Band-Aid when you're talking about something serious. I'm not just being picky about language, but this was not engaging with something trivial. It was engaging with something fundamental, precisely, and this is where your message makes such good points, precisely because it forces us to think about what happens in these early years. So I don't think we're miles apart on this issue. The solution is proving elusive, though. 16 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
So I mentioned problems in Alex. Let's get those details and everything else you need to know from out on the roads. Karabo Chale. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now at flysaa.com.
Yes, John. Well, at this stage, thanks. In the Tembisa area, there's traffic pressure. This is on Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. That's opposite the Pumlani Mall. Also traveling through Alex, heading towards Germiston. We still have bumper-to-bumper traffic entry southbound between the Butler Interchange and London Road due to those ongoing roadworks. Leaving Sandton, traffic heavily backed up on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston Drive. Also driving through Melrose, heading towards Sandton all the way to Midrand. There's huge delays. M1 North from Killarney Bends to the Butler Interchange. 4-ways traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Bryanston Drive and Uranium. And finally, Midrand bumper-to-bumper traffic N1 South from Olifantsfontein Road to the Butler Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways, where comfort meets convenience. Enjoy premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,762 Rand all-inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
I'm sorry, we do not have your name on the guest list. That is what South Africa would be told if they were to turn up in Washington on the 15th and the 16th of this month for the first Sherpas meeting of the US G20 presidency. As US President Donald Trump indicated some days back, South Africa would not be invited to attend the summit in Miami in Florida next year at Mar-a-Lago. But equally, it's clear now that we're not going to be invited to anything. So what exactly does South Africa do? And crucially, what do other countries in the G20 do? They may not like what's happening, but will they act And if they were to act, what could they do? Lots of questions. Let's see if we can get some answers. And welcome to 702 Drive, Kisao Baka Nancy Mopipi, who is a G20 researcher at the South African Institute of International Affairs. Ms. Mopipi, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. Were you expecting this?
Thank you very much for having me. This is certainly not a surprise. I think it has been expected given how the Trump administration has been engaging with South Africa's G20 presidency even during the course of the year. I think there was a lot of signaling that this decision would come to place.
Yeah, so everybody's expecting it. Do you think there would have been any strategizing? I know that Nasrec and the days that preceded it were very, very busy, and I think the hours that followed it basically saw everyone trying to get home after a very exhausting time. But in all the conversations that have been going on, do you think there would have been some strategizing around something that you've confirmed comes as no surprise?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the South African presidency was expecting this. And I think we can see in the way that it has also expressed its intention to work more closely with the UK presidency, which would be taking place in 2027, which shows that they did foresee that there would be some issues that come up with the United States presidency. And, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does South Africa do? I mean, it's early days yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. Certainly, it's not out of the question that this will happen and happen again, and people will express their unhappiness. But, suddenly we might find ourselves in August and South Africa hasn't attended anything. First question on that, I mean, would we still be playing a role even if we weren't at meetings?
Certainly. I mean, first of all, I think it's important to highlight that South Africa is still a full and permanent member of the G20, regardless of, the decision of the US to not invite them to specific meetings, because they are not an invited guest. They are a permanent member. Secondly, I think where South Africa should really rely is on other members of the G20 and really engage them to be able to either have those conversations with the US, or worst case scenario, even boycotting the US meetings. And the reason why I say this is because the decision by the US really sets a very dangerous precedent moving forward for other countries to say, if I don't like you or if I don't agree with your domestic policy, then you are not going to be at the table, which is a really bad precedent.
Ms. Mopipi, I mean, at Nasrec in the months and the full year that preceded that, decisions were taken, plans were put in place, and I don't know, it may well be that I'm conflating the B20 and the G20 here, but can that work continue if this becomes almost one of the central issues of a 2026 G20? I mean, could South Africa and, let's say, Norway and the United Kingdom, who've agreed on a way forward on debt relief, can they just quietly go on with the business? Or might we see the US intervening at that level as well and saying, well, hang on a bit, what are you guys talking about? You're not allowed to do this. It sounds a little bit like school, but it all does seem to sound a little bit like the schoolyard at times.
It does. I mean, certainly the beauty of the G20 is the flexibility of the structure.
Right.
And the prerogative that a presidency has to set an agenda. And that's why we see the US coming on so strongly now. But that does not preclude, other countries from taking a policy stance, even during, the U.S. presidency on some of these issues, and continue to engage to build towards the UK presidency or the subsequent presidencies.
Thank you very much. It's a scenario that's going to play out over many months and many conversations. Kisao Baka Nancy Mopipi is a G20 researcher at the South African Institute of International Affairs. Tutu says South Africa has not been invited by America, but by the bully US President Donald Trump. I don't think that's the way the democracies work. Tutu, at the end of an election process, the people of a country and the United States, the people of the United States in overwhelming numbers voted for Donald Trump to be their president. So whatever we may think of the way in which political leaders then bring perhaps some personal agendas into it, that's the way democracy works. We have been uninvited by the United States of America through its leader, Donald Trump. He is the president of the country, and you just, as they used to say, kyk wat sê die scoreboard. The numbers back in November made that absolutely clear. America made its choice. 25 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Let's pick up on a quite remarkable story from yesterday. You may recall we spoke with my next guest, Newsroom Africa reporter Linda Mnisi, about the disruption of proceedings at the Senzo Mayiwa murder trial. There was some very, very complicated exchanges in the court where the judge Rata Mokgwatleng was being asked to adjourn proceedings. He said, "Why? You have to tell me why." Eventually, it became clear that the police had detained certain people who were at the court. This in regard to what they described as strong intelligence, indicating that there were plots being hatched to murder the judge, and also George Baloy, I beg your pardon, the prosecutor, Advocate George Baloy, as well as possibly the chief investigating officer. Now there are more developments in a story that just gets more and more extraordinary. And Linda Mnisi joins us once again to share with us what he knows. Linda, many thanks once again for giving us your time on a very, very busy day. I understand one of the defense lawyers is now caught up in this and is asking to withdraw from proceedings. Fill us in on the details, please, and share with us what the implications of this might be.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you so much for having me once again. Today, we actually got to find out what it is that the defense lawyers were told when they went out of court yesterday to investigate why some of the people that came with the witness were taken in by police. Yesterday, the police told us they were detained and questioning them in relation to this alleged assassination plot. But Advocate Charles Mnisi tells the court that when they left court yesterday and met up with the police, one gentleman who identified himself as the investigating officer, in fact, told them that they, as defense lawyers in the case, were now being investigated for allegedly being complicit in this alleged assassination plot.
Right.
And what they were told was that they were the reason why certain people got away yesterday. The police had been tracking a group of people, and before they could approach them, it seems these people vanished. And the police believe, according to Advocate Mnisi, that it's the defense that informed them that the police were tracking them and they needed to disappear. So that's why now they are subject to this investigation. He goes on, John, to say that, in fact, I'm also told that me, as Advocate Mnisi, like to get myself involved in things that do not involve me. And he views that in serious light. He says this is a threat and which should be taken seriously. He says in light of all these allegations, he now wants to recuse himself, and that's the word that he uses. He wants to recuse himself from the matter until the probe into this allegation that they are complicit in the alleged assassination plot are concluded. Once the report of this investigation is concluded, only then can he come back. And he says this has affected his mental health and his ability to continue with the trial. But also you'd recall that Advocate Mnisi is not there in his personal capacity. He is there as a result of instructions that he got from accused number 1, that's Moses Sibia, the alleged lookout man, and accused number 3, Tobi Simnube, who is the alleged gunman in this particular matter. It's unclear what their stance is about what Advocate Mnisi was telling the court about his recusal, but it seems he wanted a postponement so that the investigations can be concluded. But the judge says he cannot accede to this request
Right.
because it would mean that the trial would need to stop and investigations continue. Investigations which may take years to even conclude, John.
It's an extraordinary story, and and Linda Mlisi at Newsroom Africa is doing an excellent job keeping us informed, both joining us here on 702, but also on Channel 405 with his regular updates from the court. We thank him for his time. 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Muteo Khwaripe is with us now in our studio here in Sandton with the very latest from the markets. Muteo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. We zero in on the manufacturing sector now. Business activity in the manufacturing sector has come in lower again. S&P Global's Purchasing Managers Index showed that the sector remains under pressure, with PMI now at 49 points, slightly up from the 48.8 points recorded in October. Now, any number below 50 is read as a contraction, while a number above 50 is viewed as growth. Private sector activity in the country and new orders both fell again in November as manufacturing firms reported fewer new contracts and challenging economic conditions. The drop in activity marked the fastest downturn in 8 months. Domestic demand for locally produced goods also remaining weak. Then Nedbank posting some subdued results. The bank says headline earnings growth was in line with management expectations. The company also reporting a lower impairment charge and a well-managed expense base for the 10 months to October. But the guidance does not account for the 600 million rand settlement between the bank and Transnet. In a case launched by Transnet and South Africa's Special Investigating Unit, both parties sought to recover money the logistics firm unduly paid to Nedbank in 2015 and 2016 through swap transactions. Nedbank had denied wrongdoing, saying its sales margin was market-related. Then going to the markets now, the JSE are looking quite good this afternoon. Industrials were a bit weaker, but banking stocks up close to 1%. Mining shares also in the good so far. Rand at this hour, 17 Rand 10 cents against the US dollar. The US Fed, of course, expected to announce rates later tonight. 19 Rand 94 cents against the euro and 22 Rand 73 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,224 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,637. Brent crude at $62.85 a barrel. More business in about an hour.
Thanks, Muteo. Looking forward to an update at about 25 minutes past 5 and a little look ahead to what's going to be on the Money Show between 6 and 8. The latest news now with Mbali Dlamini starting down in Cape Town.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. 2 people have been shot dead in suspected gang violence outside the Athlone Magistrates Court today. A 32-year-old man was killed while sitting in his car about 50 meters away from the court this afternoon. Just minutes later, a 31-year-old was shot dead about 300 meters away from the Q-Town area. Police spokesperson Frederick van Wyk says crime scene experts are combing the area for clues.
The suspect or suspects fled the scene in an unknown direction. The motive for these attacks forms part of our police investigations. Anyone with information about these fatal shooting incidents is kindly requested to contact Crime Stop on 08600 10111.
At the same time, Western Cape Premier Alan Winde says a decision has not been made yet on the deployment of the South African National Defence Force to gang hotspots. Speaking during the province's safety briefing, Winde says he has written to the Defence and Police Ministers to provide data on the effectiveness of army deployment. It follows renewed calls to deploy the military in Cape Town as gang and gun violence escalates. Latest crime statistics reveal that gang activity is the biggest contributor of contact crimes across several police precincts in the metro. Mfuleni, Nyanga, Delft and Gryfontein police stations appear in the top 5 stations with the highest number of contact crimes in the country. Winde says he's waiting on reports from both ministers before deciding on military deployment.
Because we believe in data and evidence. And what would that data look like if we had to have them redeployed, so that we can make up our minds on whether we support this call or we don't, and for what reason is a yes or a no.
Windy says he's also been receiving calls to declare the province's high crime rate as a disaster.
We've seen a disaster declaration against gender-based violence at a national level, and there are processes and plans happening. What would the process be? I just want people to understand that in a province, they keep on saying the Premier can declare a disaster. That's not actually true. We would declare a disaster, an intention in a province. It still has to be finalized and declared via the National Disaster Centre.
We shift our focus to this now. The Africa Maibuya movement says there is a genuine appetite from South Africans for a new political party. Maibuya has also made a bold claim that it will be in government by 2029. The newly formed political party is preparing for its inaugural national convention this week, where it will outline its manifesto and adopt positions on a number of political issues. With the Electoral Commission having already over 500 registered political parties, Maibuya's first deputy president, Thato Wamahohodi, says they stand out from the rest.
Today, more than 50% of the people eligible to vote do not even set foot on the booth. So you have already an illegitimate political system in the eyes of the masses of the oppressed.
And in India, Delhi has recorded 200,000 cases of acute respiratory illnesses as the city struggles with pollution levels. The Union Ministry and Family Welfare says the cases were recorded between 2022 and 2024. Delhi's air quality index has been over 20 times the World Health Organization's limits for weeks now. The Delhi High Court is expected to hear a petition calling for urgent measures to curb hazardous air pollution. The government says it is closely monitoring rising pollution levels through a national surveillance system. A partly cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 16 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Tembisa, traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. That's opposite the Pumlani Mall. While in Fourways, traffic remains congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Bryanston Drive and Uranium, and leaving Sandton. Traffic also heavily congested. This is on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Grayston Drive.
The top story in EWN, 2 people have been shot dead in suspected gang violence outside the Athlone Magistrates Court in the Western Cape today.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The Americans have hit the delete button. All traces of South Africa have disappeared from that G20 website, as if we have not hosted.
None of this surprises me, and I think in advance of the summit, the remarks by Minister Lamola about white supremacy, then the handover issue. Now, my own view is that the U.S. would have done the website thing and the G20 reset anyway, but I think things like Lamola's remarks and the handover issue made the booting out of South Africa inevitable.
Dr. Terence McNamee.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Tired of long queues and waiting times at labor centers? The Unemployment Insurance Fund, UIF, has made things easier for you. Now you can access UIF services anytime, anywhere through the UIF online services platform. Submit and track your claims outcome. Upload supporting documents. Submit a payment request. Check payment status or update your personal details, all from the comfort of your home or office. It's fast, simple, and user-friendly. All you need is an internet connection. So why wait? Visit uifonline.labour.gov.za/UIF online today and experience convenient, efficient service at your fingertips. UIF, working for you.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for real estate agencies, law firms, computer services, and more. Yakolin?
We saved a lot of money when we switched over from another insurance company to Business Outsurance. We've had some claims and they were friendly and efficient and paid out when they promised.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In ancient Corinth, as Alexander the Great approached the philosopher Diogenes and offered to grant him any wish, Diogenes simply replied, "Stand a little out of my son." At Plus 94 Research, we believe in illuminating the path to informed decisions. By removing the shadows of uncertainty, we let the light of data-driven insights shine through. Don't let assumptions cloud your vision. Step into the light of clarity. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
I'm Komodo, PG Glass Technician. We
use the leading windscreen brand, Shutterproof, PRUFE, to keep you safe.
Visit pg.co.za for trusted quality windscreens.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John, your team, and my fellow listeners. Long time. Just listening to your interview with Dr. Maimani. He is spot on. He's spot on. I really don't understand why ANC is doing this to us, honestly speaking. Now, as I'm speaking to you, there's money, the subsidy that the Q5 schools were getting is going to be taken, which forces the schools to come up with measures to stay afloat. Lisibe, disappointed one from Ekurhuleni.
Yeah, by the way, if you've just joined us, I mean, the debate that Lisibe was expressing a very strong view on was prompted by a motion tabled by Build One South Africa and led obviously by its leader, Dr. Mmusi Maimane, that they wanted to see a steady move away from the 30% pass mark, that every year they were suggesting you edge it up by 5%. I see we've got some other suggestions saying phase it in a little bit slower so that the class, the kids who start school next year can gradually get used to it all the way to 2038. Whatever steps would be taken and exactly how it would be done, I don't think was the point. It was the philosophy and the principle behind this very system that were up for debate. But the motion was defeated. 190 votes to 87. Substantial majority against what Bosa was putting forward. But they're going to be back, and they're going to be back, I think, with other voices alongside them. 20 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Cricket match, 50 overs. South Africa versus India in India. It's a terrific game taking shape, and Anthony Teixeira has details of that and some other stories too.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. It has been superb. It has also been an incredible innings from Aiden Markram as he managed to strike 110. But unfortunately for him, he's walked back to the pavilion in the last few moments, dismissed off of the bowling of Harshad Rana. It means that Matthew Bretsky is there, the set batter on 24. Devot Brevis yet again off the mark. The Proteas, 199 for the loss of 3. They need from the final 19 overs, 160 runs, going at a run rate of 8.34 to the over. Meanwhile, the Pink Ashes will start Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Steve Smith was forced to defend the Australians' decision to withhold their squad announcement, with a growing feeling that the delayed announcement is to see if Pat Cummins is fit enough to come in.
He looks pretty good to me, the way he's bowled in the nets. Obviously games of different intensity for sure, but he's tracking really nicely, he knows his body well, and a whole heap of things I think are on the table. Yeah, we'll wait and see what the wicket looks like, and from there we'll determine a playing 11. I assume we'll probably release maybe later this afternoon, maybe tomorrow.
The Baggy Greens find themselves 1-0 up heading into the Gabba, while in rugby, the Springboks' roadmap for a third successive Rugby World Cup has been drawn. They're in Pool B alongside Italy, Georgia and Romania. There'll be some other exciting fixtures throughout the pool stages, with the All Blacks and Wallabies clashing, Ireland and Scotland colliding, and England set to face off against Wales. Switching to football now, where the final round of the Betway Premiership for 2025 is to be played this evening. Mamelodi Sundowns meet Siwalele, Stellenbosch take on Polokwane City, and Kaizer Chiefs are against the bottom of the table Chippa. Amakosi defender Zitza Quinkwa says regardless of the struggles that their opponents have had, they remain a difficult opponent.
I've seen them in the past games. The last game they played a good team, a good structure. So it won't be an easy task, but I think we're up for it. We've seen how they play, how they behave with and without the ball. It's upon us to try probably use what we've been preparing in terms of us penetrating and defending well for us to win the game.
Meanwhile, Magezi meets Sekokune, and we have Orbit College against Durban City. All games kicking off at 7:30. Selected Premier League fixtures have Brentford heading to leaders Arsenal, Villa battle Brighton, Liverpool welcome Sunderland, and Leeds face Chelsea. 2 days before the FIFA World Cup draw, Lego has announced a collaboration which will see fans given the chance to feel exactly like a winner. In the first ever time, a fan will be able to build and lift the official 1-to-1 scale Lego model of the iconic trophy. The 2,842-piece model will be released March 1st, 2026, and Cadillac will launch their debut Formula One livery live on television during the Super Bowl on February 8th. Cadillac was set to become the 11th constructor starting on the grid next season in Australia on March 8th, with drivers Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Thanks, Anthony. 1625 EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Tembisa's difficult when it isn't raining. Tembisa's a lot more difficult right now, it would seem, Karabo Chale.
Yeah, I'm afraid in the Tembisa area at this stage, there's traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. Rivonia traffic sluggish. This is on Rivonia Road between the N1 and 12th Avenue. While in Midrand, traffic heavily backed up. This is N1 southbound between Olifantsfontein Road and the Butlu interchange. 4 ways. Traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Bryanston Drive and Uranium. If you're leaving the Sandton area, this is slow-moving traffic on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Grayston Drive. Also slow-moving traffic through Melrose heading towards Sandton, Midrand. Huge delays M1 northbound from Killarney Baines all the way to the Butlu interchange. Issues, this is due to the rain, unfortunately, continuing to bucket down, John, this afternoon, now affecting the Tshwane area. I understand there's flooding in some parts of Centurion. There's a voice note.
Hi, just to let listeners know, there is flooding on the N14 West coming out of Centurion just after the Jean Avenue on-ramp to the highway. It's waterlogged probably about 200 meters from the Jean Avenue on-ramp to the highway, and then further down just before the N14 west off-ramp from there before it splits between the N1 and the N14. It's waterlogged, it's terrible. People are driving like idiots, and yeah, please just let listeners know to be careful around there or avoid it if they can, if they've got a low car or whatever the case is. Cheers.
Thanks for those heads up. Remember, your eyes and ears, keep them coming. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the lady on her way to work, listening to a love song on the radio. She's recreating the music video in her mind with herself as the leading lady. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a concert on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 13 minutes to 5. Well, we're going to have to wait 5 days to find out what the body that is examining Eben Etzebeth's conduct at the end of the game between the Springboks and Wales, the body examining that is yet to reach any kind of decision. Sounds to me like the panel very much divided on what kind of sentence they should apply. Put that all to one side. Most people, or many people, when they describe what the much decorated Springbok lock did, would describe it as a moment of madness. It seemed to come out of the blues. The game was won, the game was almost over, and then this happened. I think, by the way, I don't think he's ever had a red card in his career. So with all of that as background, have you ever had a moment of madness where you have just lost it and you look back after and say, what on earth was I doing? Or maybe you look back at it and say, no, what I did was crazy, but I knew why I did it, and I might even do it again. So if you've had a moment of madness, please describe it for us and perhaps give us some kind of sense of how it all turned out. Did you bear some significant consequences, or were you able to say, "Phew, okay, that was crazy and I got away with it"? Anthony, have you had a moment of by the way, a moment of madness can mean different things to different people. So you do not have to have been involved in attacking someone's eyes. I mean, that's not the bar.
Unfortunately, when I get into moments like that or into a frame of mind where I'm completely upset, I'm very quiet.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of heavy breathing and grunting and then just dead silence on my part. I can't seem to formulate the words. It's almost like I'm thinking in two different languages at exactly the same time, where the brain just can't handle that situation. And so every single moment of madness of mine is just complete and utter dead silence.
That's interesting. So you haven't done crazy stuff?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
There's always time.
Yeah. Well, take a deep breath, as you say. Take it slow. How about you, Karabo Charlie?
One thing for sure, John, I could tell you being a waiter is not an easy job.
Yes.
It's a very frustrating job. You have to manage multiple tables. And I remember I was a waiter back in high school trying to raise money for my matric dance. And I hated the job, John.
Yes, yes.
And there was a time where I got a full table. They were all ordering snitchels. Everybody ordered snitchels, but they didn't specify. Maybe they did specify that they didn't want the beef. They want the chicken. And I ordered all beef.
Oh my goodness. How many servings?
I think there was like about 8 of them.
Oh my goodness. That is a lot of beef that nobody wants.
And then they were like, no, what is this? It's beef. We Hindu. We don't. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then the manager was down my neck. And I was like,
Yes.
you know what? I don't need this. I couldn't care less. I'm going home to my mom and dad. And they all sorted out.
And was that it?
And
You
I
never
threw a
worked there
tantrum.
again?
I just left, took off my apron. And I was like, guys, I can't do this. And the manager was like, you can't do this. You must pay for it. I was like, hey, I'm done. I slammed the door. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was the end of it.
No regrets.
And I didn't turn back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here you are. Chicken, please. How about you, Anthony? Make it clear. It's a great. It's a very important story you're telling there, actually, because maybe some other time we'll ask people about the point at which you just said, I can't do this anymore, which is a slightly different way of framing it. What you might describe as a moment of madness, describe it for us on 072 702 1702. We'd love to hear from you on that channel. It's 9 minutes now to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Well, if I look back on, to the extent that I follow the markets, and I follow them fairly closely because I do invest some money into the markets in various ways, one big story has been the increasing price of gold and the extent to which it's sustained at its high levels. And then the other is the absolute stratospheric surge, I think it was quite soon, into the Donald Trump presidency with his very open and clear support of Bitcoin. Bitcoin shot up as well. Bitcoin can shoot up and come down quite quickly. Gold tends to move in slightly more curvy arcs than that. But Paul Rulofse is our weekly guest on what we call Minding Your Money, certified financial planner. And Paul, today you were inviting us to have a look at the two and make a comparison. Where should we start? Because they are both things you can invest in. There is mining associated with both of them. One is, I think, terminology and the other is reality. But where should we start with a gold Bitcoin face-off? Over to you. Good afternoon.
Hi there, John. Yes, certainly an interesting comparison, especially as we turn the year now. At the end of this year, the dynamics have changed quite dramatically. Gold has reached its new high, and Bitcoin's turned around and it's dropped quite dramatically too. But it also, during this year, reached its high. And I thought it would be a very good comparison to kind of contrast the two in the context of gold being the old conventional risk-off type of place to put your money when things were too hot on the markets. Where else would you buy? You'd go to gold. And gold has come back. It's revived itself to the levels now where we see about 4,200 as we speak, in dollars, that is. Only 10 years ago, it was a quarter of that price. And what it says is that gold as a tangible investment is far more attractive at the moment than other alternatives. Whereas Bitcoin is in the cyber sphere, isn't it? It's something that we can't touch and feel, but it is driven to all sorts of highs because of expectation. But John, I think the driver between the two of them right now, what really is consistent with them is that they're both scarce.
Yes.
Gold has a scarcity about it, as does Bitcoin. Bitcoin, let's leave Bitcoin with the idea that there are only 21 million of them. And at the moment, they've mined about 19 million of those. So there are only 2 million to go. And I think that creates a lot of hype around it because this idea of scarcity is prevailing, and people understand that, the less there is of something, the more valuable it becomes. And gold isn't far behind that in terms of scarcity either. We sort of estimate that there are about 240,000 metric tons of gold, which have been found in the earth. Only 57,000 tons still have to be mined of that. So there is a limitation in gold too. But I think what's translating right now, John, is that at the end of this year, with all this risk and all these, these uncertainties around us, gold is starting to prevail again. It's starting to hold its own. And the volatility, as you said earlier on, the volatility isn't there. With gold moves at a lower volatile pace and space. Bitcoin tends to be very, very volatile. It's up and down. And as we speak right now, it's way lower than its record level during the year.
So I mean, I suppose the one thing that struck me as you spoke about scarcity, Paul, I mean, there is gold, there's gold and, there's only gold in its category, although platinum, I guess, is also used for jewelry and equivalents. Bitcoin, though, there are other cryptocurrencies. I think the second biggest is Ethereum. There's XRP. Tether is another one. I'm just reading off a list. I have no personal knowledge or experience of any of them, but there really are quite a lot of them. Is that does that add value to the cryptocurrency world, or is it a devaluing factor? Because you may get pale imitations, but you can get imitations nonetheless.
Well, that's an interesting question, John, and I'm certainly no expert on crypto. I choose not to be.
Yes.
It's one of those assets, as some people call them. I don't think it's an asset. It's something out there in cyberspace which is driven by expectation. And I can't answer that question directly, but I think it falls into the same ambit as Bitcoin in the context of it being a trade. And whether it's Ethereum, and I'm not quite sure what limitations or scarcity Ethereum offer and all the other coins, but what it does do, however, it puts your expectation at risk, because Bitcoin is obviously the flagship of the crypto sphere.
Right.
And I think it is the leader, and everything follows from there. Inside that, with the myriad of crypto options that you've got, there's a lot of speculation as to which will be the next Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people take a bet in that direction. But coming back to your question, I can't answer that, John. It's too complicated for me. It's too out there in the stratosphere. And certainly not in financial planning terms is it recognized as an asset that I can comfortably put your pension into. But I will say this, though, that it's an interesting concept right now, or contrast right now, that you've got gold with this tangible value, and I've got Bitcoin on the other side, and crypto with that, for that matter, also with a value. And one is led in something I can't touch and something I can touch. And what I think, just as from a planner, from a fundamental point of view, I think gold is holding its own, and it's come to its place right now, because in a world of uncertainty, I think the favor is more in the direction of gold than it might be in the crypto sphere.
Thank you so much, Paul Rulofse, certified financial planner. A lot of food for thought there. Maybe you've been involved with cryptocurrencies and have a view on whether you've got value from that. If you've invested in gold, give us your views too. Give us anything that has been prompted by what Paul has said, a contrary view or something where you agree with what he has just put across. You get us on 072 702 1702. It's 2 minutes now to 5.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So what then would be required in relation to the economy for us as a country to all have a better quality of life?
I think we'll have to look at the number of areas. For instance, education, also in terms of health, because you find that people don't have access to good quality health. Then the life expectancy can be shorter.
Patrick Buthelezi, Sanlam Investments economist.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Every week there's a new SUV brand you can't pronounce. The Mini Countryman doesn't need to reinvent itself. Heritage comes standard. Head-up display keeps you focused. All-wheel drive keeps you going. And driver assist keeps you calm while the others catch up. The Mini Countryman from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. T's and C's apply.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
You could spend 10 minutes trying to fix the office printer or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For her 2025 Hyundai Exter, 65-year-old Helena now pays only 398 Rand a month. And for her 2024 Haval H6 4x4, 50-year-old Priya pays just 1,178 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Maibuye e-Africa concert, the rebirth of Ubuntu, returns for one unforgettable night only. Simpiwe Dana, Judith Sepuma, Malay, Langa Mavuso, Elvis Blue, and Sipo Hotsticks Mabuse, backed by a 20-piece orchestra conducted by Grammy Award winner Joe Arthur, curated and produced by the visionary Billy Monama. Opera House State Theatre, Pretoria. Saturday, 6 December 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Tickets from 350 to 1,000 Rand at Web Tickets. Proudly supported by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Brand South Africa, Castle Milk Stout, and 702.
This is EWN.
Mkhwanazi concedes he is the one who signed off on agreements with Kat Matlala's companies, and Zuma Sambudla's sisters approach Parliament for help. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi has conceded that he was the only person who signed off on two agreements with companies owned by Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. In 2021, Mkhwanazi signed off on two memorandums of understanding with Medicare and Kat Matlala's VIP Protection Company. The MOUs would allow Medicare to use red lights as an emergency medical company and Kat VIP Protection to use blue lights. Mkhwanazi says he signed them as there would be a mutual benefit for both EMPD and the companies that would offer their services to EMPD for free. But despite claiming that the MOUs required further sign-off to be effective, they were only signed by Mkhwanazi. Evidence leader Advocate Mahlape Sello pressed him on this for an answer.
Besides you signing the document, nobody else signed it. Did you mention that?
This one?
Yes.
Yes, nobody.
So effectively it was never approved?
Yes, it was never approved.
Police have seized a vehicle believed to belong to the bodyguards of alleged criminal kingpin Katiso KT Molefe. Two men were arrested earlier today at the Alexandra Magistrates Court, where Molefe made an appearance. Molefe and three others are facing 35 counts, including murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, as well as possession of an unlicensed firearm as well as ammunition. His matter has been transferred to the Johannesburg High Court for trial. Khomotso Modise has more.
Katiso KT Molefe was heavily guarded and surrounded by armed men as he entered the Alexandra Magistrates Court, but police arrested two of the men for not having the requisite permits to carry AK-47 rifles and ammunition. Spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
It's quite important that security officials or bodyguards, when they report on duty and they're handed over with firearms, that the person responsible must issue them a permit for carrying the firearms. But also, that particular security official must be in possession of a competency certificate to utilize that particular firearm.
Mate says the vehicle the men were travelling in was also seized because the license disc did not correspond with its number plate. While two of his bodyguards are now arrested, Molefe remains out on bail. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News in Alexandra.
The half-sisters of former MP Duduzile Zuma Sambudla have approached Parliament to help return the men believed to have been duped by her into fighting in the Russia-Ukraine war. Today, Chairperson of Parliament's International Relations Committee, Supra Mahumapelo, informed his colleagues that he met with the three siblings in Johannesburg on Monday. 5 people appeared in court in connection with this matter this week, but Zuma Sambudla was not amongst them. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Committee Chairperson Supra Mahumapelo says in his meeting with Zuma family members, he was told about the case one of the siblings has laid against Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, whom they believe facilitated the recruitment. Mahumapelo says he was told by the family that 2 Botswanan men are believed to be among those taken to the front lines of the war. Mahumapelo said once he met with the sisters, he contacted their mother, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, to confirm the information.
As a leader and as a mother also, she's also quite concerned about the situation and that the family will be very happy if the children can return home safely.
Zuma Sambudla had been a member of the International Relations Committee until her resignation as an MP last week. Director General Zain Dangor says government is working with diplomatic missions both in Ukraine and Russia to secure the men's return. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
To this now, Floyd Shibamvu has dismissed claims of a leadership crisis in his Africa Maibuya Movement party, saying many of those who left were fired for incompetence. The party recently overhauled its national leadership following a number of high-profile exits. Today, the party held a media briefing in Soweto. Thabiso Goba was there.
The Africa Maibuya Movement officially transitioned into a political party 3 months ago. Ahead of its first national convention this week, the party says it conducted a review of its leadership and concluded it needed a change. Maibuya's president, Floyd Shibamvu.
They then opportunistically resigned to create a public perception that the organization is in a crisis, people are jumping off. We're removing them.
Shibamvu says it's important the newly formed party has high standards for its leaders.
The resignations, as the national chairs said, that you have seen of the officials is because of incompetent people who were unable to do organizational work.
Despite this, Shibamvu says Maibuya remains a stable organization. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And the death toll following Hong Kong's deadliest fire has risen to 159. Last week, the fire consumed a residential estate in the Tai Po district. Police say the death toll comes as an interim wrap-up following the completion of building searches. The dead include at least 91 women, 49 men, with the youngest victim being a 1-year-old baby and the oldest 97 years old. Gold is trading at $4,202.83 an ounce. The rand is at 17.06 to the dollar, 22.71 to the pound, 19.92 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.53 a barrel.
Starting in Centurion, this is on the N14 approaching Jean Avenue. This is causing more than an hour delay between the N1 and Weird Road, so avoid that route at all costs. There's also bumper traffic in Tembisa on Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. Rivonia traffic sluggish on Rivonia Road between the N1 and 12th Avenue.
And in sport, the Proteas have passed the 200-run mark against India in the second ODI. But if they are to chase down their 359-run target, they need to go at 8 runs and more to the over. Betway Premiership action headed your way with match day 13, while the Premier League throws out 6 games this evening.
A partly cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at a high of 21. Pretoria 15 and 23 and Vereeniging 14, also at a high of 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi has conceded he was the only person who signed off on 2 agreements with companies owned by Vusimuzi Cat Matlala.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. If you're out in the traffic, please stay safe. I bet you don't need me to tell you that. It's pretty hard to move from what I gather. The rain still bucketing down if it is eased in the place where you are, or the place where you are currently driving, or the place where you need to go to next. I am delighted to hear that. It does appear, though, to have bucketed down in something of a blanket all over Gauteng. We'll update you on the traffic as soon as we get a chance. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on that. Oren Singh has been out at the Madlanga Commission. It's been, from the bits that I watched, something of a strange day. We'll get Oren's take. But Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi, suspended head of the Kuruleni Metro Police Department. I watched the section where he was being taken through his statement and given an opportunity to set out his stall to indicate what it is that he believes is relevant and will act as a decent defense, because I'm sure he knows what kind of questions are coming. And in the process of that, it was interesting. Occasionally I was fast forwarding through one bit, because that's the way I watch news in the morning. I bank up a whole lot of recorded stuff, and then where things are repeated, I fast forward. And some of his answers appeared to me, at least, to go on for 6-7 minutes. I think it's a bit different now. He's being subjected to much more close questioning. Oren will give us his take shortly. And then the Rugby World Cup, the draw's been made for 2027. Yes, I know you may look at your calendar and say, well, that's a long way away. But in a way, the preparation for that event and a possibility of winning 3 in a row is already well underway. So what does the draw put for South Africa by way of what we need to do? Not so much the group stages, but in the knockout rounds that follow. I think our path to the final is pretty tough. Craig Ray of Daily Maverick will join us to give us his take. But if you've had a look at the draw and you've got some views on it, start sharing those with us now on 072 702 1702. Staying with rugby, Eben Etzebeth's the foul play who was involved in it's been described as eye gouging, described by many people as a moment of madness in a game that had been won ages ago, and there was no possibility of anything else happening. And the question I asked was, have you ever had a moment of madness? A couple of you have shared this.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. I hope everybody is good and behaving in this rain today. I'm reminded by the rain. My moment of madness was yesterday. There was bad backlocking there by Clorkop heading towards Tembisa yesterday, and the traffic was just standing still. We left there around about 10:30 at night, and I knock off at 5. But we were stuck there for more than 2, 3, 4 hours. And we decided, some of us, to get out of the car and go direct traffic there. My moment of madness was that we were yelling at taxi drivers and everybody else, and the truck drivers and bus drivers, and people were listening to us like we were police. And today when I look at it, I'm like, did I really yell at all those people, and were they really obeying and listening to what I was saying as I was trying to untangle the traffic there? I don't believe I did it. My friends were taking a video of me and making fun of what I did yesterday. It was fun. It was, yeah, no. But I got home late. I hope it doesn't happen again today.
Yeah, we're going to ask you to please send us that video, because we have to see the video of you directing traffic. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll get Kabazela to give you a call and just see if we can get that video from you, because I would really like to see it. My moment of madness: came home late one night. This is many, many years ago. Lived in a house. The house was right on the street. And as I was standing in the street and getting ready to open my front gate, I saw that my neighbor's car was slowly coming out of his driveway, but there were 3 people in it and none of them were his neighbor.
Oh.
And I walked down the road waving my arms, screaming at the top of my voice, probably using foul language and basically saying to the people, "That's not your car, get out of it." And unbelievably, incredibly, they got up and walked away. Now,
what?
Well, exactly. What? Firstly, what that actually happened. But secondly, what on earth did you think you were doing? And I woke up at about 3 in the morning and I'd probably had a couple of drinks, which is why I had this moment of madness. But I woke up at 3 in the morning, almost shivering and saying, "Oh my goodness, that was a narrow shave." My neighbor was pleased, but my friends and those who hold me dear, or the people to whom I owe money, were not pleased at all. My moment of madness, if you've got one, please do share it. 011 883 0702. It's 14 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. It's bad all over, but Centurion is going through some particular difficulties, which Karabo Chale knows everything about.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the rain continuing to pour down throughout Gauteng, there are areas where the roads are flooded, and this is in the Centurion area. N14 approaching Jean Avenue at this stage is causing about an hour delay between the N1 and Weird Road. Tembisa also traffic pressure. Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. Rivonia, we still have slow-moving traffic on Rivonia Road. This is between the N1 and 12th Avenue. Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic. N1 southbound between Olifantsfontein Road and the Butlu Interchange. 4 ways traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between Bryanston Drive and Uranium. And finally, if you're traveling through Melrose heading towards Midrand, there's huge delays on the M1 northbound between Killarney Bains and the Butlu Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsmen can't help you choose the perfect Secret Santa gift for your colleague, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you get to the shops in time to browse. With the Outsurance Pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely this festive season. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It's still underway. Brigadier Julius Mkwanazi is the head of police at the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, but he is currently on suspension. And he is there to answer questions about his relationship and possibly the relationship of others in the EMPD or indeed in the administration of that metro with Vusimuzi Katmatlala. Other issues have come up as well in regard to his own promotion and the promotion of other people as well that he oversaw. Oren Singh is our EWN reporter and he's been watching things. Oren, it looks to me, just from the visuals, that the afternoon has been a lot tougher for Commissioner Mkwanazi than the morning was.
Definitely, John. I think this morning we saw him ramble on quite a bit, like you previously indicated, taking 6-7 minutes to answer or to when he was going off his statement and sort of ad-libbing, going off on a tangent in some instances. And this afternoon it's being much more concise and clear as he's been asked to answer questions posed and directed to him by the evidence leader as well as the commissioners on the stand.
Yeah, so where is he in particular difficulty? My understanding is that he has conceded that his fitting I'm seeing different things. Did he agree that Vusimuzi Matlala's cats were fitted with blue lights, or did he agree that it did happen and he takes responsibility? I'm not clear on that, but I'm sure you are.
So what essentially happened, John, is in 2021, Julius Mkonazi gets introduced to Vusi Cat Matlala and his business partner, Mike Van Wyk. They've got two companies, which among a whole bunch of other companies, and these companies are Cat VIP Protection and Medicare 24. Medicare 24 is in the medical emergency services sort of operations. And so they suggest that, look, we would like to assist EMPD, and this is Julius Mkonazi's version. They'd like to assist EMPD in the city of Ekurhuleni, and what they'll do is they'll offer their services in both VIP protection as well as medical emergency services for free at no cost to the municipality, and vice versa. The municipality didn't have to pay them, they wouldn't pay the municipality, all of that. And so he says that Vusimuzi Cat Matlala's business partner, Mike Van Wyk, drafts two memorandums of understanding or memorandums of agreement. And these agreements suggest that, firstly, that Medicare 24 can use red lights, but would also assist EMPD when there's an emergency or an incident that EMPD officers are injured on duty.
Right.
But even going further than that, to say that they would assist EMPD in the testing of drug samples. They would assist EMPD at roadblocks when they need to take blood samples from members of the public to test for drunken driving. And I think that was taken issue with by the commissioners, because essentially you're allowing a private security company to, number one, interfere with crime exhibits in that of drugs, and number two, then take samples from members of the public, and they don't have a sort of mandate with SAPS or with the city of Ekurhuleni officially. Cut a long story short, John, Julius Mkonazi signs off on these both MOUs and agrees to them, but they're not approved. According to him, these MOUs required the signature. He was then the director of specialized services at EMPD and required the final sign-off from the head of EMPD, which was Isaac Mapiyeye at the time, as well as his deputy, Goodman Mzolo. And neither Mzolo or Mapiyeye signed off on these agreements, and so they were essentially null and void. But what he says is he does concede that Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, inverted commas, donated 4 high-end vehicles to the city of Ekurhuleni, and they were registered as municipal vehicles. He also concedes they never received those vehicles. So while they were registered as municipal vehicles, they never received them. And EMPD being short of vehicles at the time,
right.
I mean, that's a big problem, because essentially you're allowing a private security company owner to have vehicles registered to a municipality, but you never received those vehicles, and they're just being used by that security company owner.
There is a huge amount to untangle, but I think we've made a decent start. Thank you, Oren Singh, EWN reporter. He's covering today, once again, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And the man who is being questioned and who is offering explanations is the suspended head of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, Commissioner Julius Mkonazi. 21 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, it's never too early to look forward to a Rugby World Cup. That's my view anyway, and a lot of people seem to agree. There is a lot of conversation about the draw for the Rugby World Cup 2027 that was made in Australia, 11 o'clock South African time. South Africa have been drawn in pool, let me just check, Pool B. And what came out is not just the draw for the pools, but it also plots the route to the final. So according to whichever group pool you're in, that depends on who you might play in the knockout rounds that will follow. So let's get a take on this then with Craig Ray, sports editor at Daily Maverick. Craig, a very good afternoon to you. South Africa drawn in a relatively easy group, I think it's fair to say, with Italy, Georgia, and Romania. It's not a completely trouble-free group, but it is certainly easier than the draw we had in 2023, where we had to play both Scotland and Ireland. Is it a good thing to have a relatively easy group pool? Or do coaches sometimes think, well, we wouldn't mind a little bit of a challenge early on because that gets us focused?
Hi, John. Oh, well, I think in this case it's not a bad group because even though, yes, the Springboks should win those 3 games, they'll be quite physical battles against Italy and Georgia. We've seen Italy give the Boks a few problems this year, particularly when they toured early in the year, and they outscored the Springboks in the second half of the first test at Loftus Versfeld. And they gave us a pretty hard time over there in Turin a few weeks ago. Obviously, the Springboks went down to 14 men in that game and really had to work hard for a victory. So that's always going to be a tough game. It's a physical battle. Georgia, they're proud of their scrumming and their forward play, and so they'll make it a tough physical battle. I think Romania will steamroll. But I think in this year's World Cup, it's expanded to 24 teams as well. So there's an extra knockout stage. There's a round of 16 for the first time ever. And you don't just go straight into a quarterfinal either. So that means you're not playing more games because you've got one fewer pool match because the pools are 4 teams instead of 5. But it does mean there's a bit more jeopardy on the line.
Okay, so let's look at that round of 16. We would play against one of the best third-place teams from D, E, or F. So let me just run through a few possibilities there. Uruguay, Portugal, Japan, USA, Samoa, Wales, on current form, possibly Tonga, and probably not likely Zimbabwe. Now, a different kind of jeopardy in that round of 16. I want your thoughts on this. You're one game away from a quarterfinal, which could be against New Zealand. You want to make sure you win well. You want everyone to be geared up for match play, but you don't want to risk injuries. I mean, this is where the coaches start earning their money, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how the pool draw looks. I mean, we don't know which of those 3 teams are going to play first. So let's say maybe if Italy's their 3rd game in the pool, that would almost be ideal because then you pick your quarterfinal team for the Italy game, and then you rest a lot of those guys for the round of 16 against one of those minnow nations, and then your quarterfinal team comes back out for the what looks like it's likely to be the All Blacks in the quarterfinal. So that would be probably first prize, but I mean, a lot goes on and a lot can go wrong before that. But that would be ideal. And I suppose if you play Tonga or someone in the round of 16, there's always the injury possibility as well because those are very physical games. So you'd probably want to play someone like Japan, a slightly less physical team, but still a good team and a good test. So there's a lot going on there. But I think for the Springboks this time around, it really looks complicated from the quarterfinals onwards.
Yeah, it really does. And I wanted to get your view on that because in our half of the draw, once we hit quarterfinal stage, we are in a half that has New Zealand and I'm just looking at this, and France.
And France, yeah.
So our path to the final is, I think, a lot harder than the other half of the draw, which has England, Argentina, and Ireland. I mean, England, Argentina, and Ireland, there are good teams, but we seem to have got a tough draw once again, or am I being paranoid?
Yeah, well, we have got a tough draw, and it does feel a little weighted incorrectly because it's number 1 and 2 and 3 in the world on the same half of the draw. And as they stand in the world rankings, England's moved up to 3, I think France are 4. So 1, 2, and 4 in the world, sitting in the one half of the draw when the draw is made, and that just feels wrong to me. But they came out of a hat. It was supposedly done without any. The only team that knew was going anywhere was Australia as the host. They were always going into Pool A.
Yes.
And I suppose they could beat New Zealand in the opening game. It's feasible. I mean, it could happen.
Yes.
And that changes everything. Then, of course, Australia suddenly fall into the Springbok half of the draw. In some ways, if you're New Zealand, you might go, well, it's not a bad game to lose. We'll miss the Springboks in the quarterfinals and go play England in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
So, I'm not saying they'll throw the game. What I'm saying is they might just, a bit like the Springboks did in 2019 or 2023. 23 was tough. I mean, if you beat Ireland, you were going to get New Zealand in the quarterfinals. If you lost to Ireland, you were going to get France. It was no easy quarterfinal. 2019 was slightly different, though. They lost the opening game and got Japan instead of Ireland in the quarterfinals. So New Zealand might look at it as, we want to go out there and win it, but it's not a train smash if we don't win it. Then we go and play England in the quarters.
It's fun looking ahead either way. I think the only thing we can learn from this is if you're a 4-time Rugby World Cup winner, you should be allowed to bring the hat from which everything is drawn. I think we'd bring a big, large green one. Thank you so much, Craig Ray, with some real insights into that 2027 Rugby World Cup draw. And of course, on Friday in the United States, I think it's in Washington, D.C., they're going to be doing the draw for the 2026 Football World Cup, and that's 48 teams. So expect it to be a very lengthy draw, a complicated one, and we can't wait to see who Bafana Bafana will play. We'll be bringing you that news right here on 702 as soon as we get it. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Back to the markets then for another look at today's trade. A look ahead as well to the Money Show with the man who'll be hosting it, Muteo Khwaripe. Good evening.
Good evening, John. The RMB-BR Business Confidence Index has risen by 5 points to 44 in the last quarter of 2025. 44% of respondents are satisfied with current business conditions, so things going in the right track. Factors driving this improvement included stable politics in the country, an upgrade from the S&P ratings company, the FATF grey listing removal for South Africa, and interest rate cuts from the South African Reserve Bank. Confidence improved in 5 out of 6 sectors surveyed. The manufacturing sector, though, saw a significant 16-point rise in confidence. New vehicle dealers also remain optimistic with confidence there at 58 index points. And that makes sense, of course, because a lot of households are buying new cars. In other news, business activity in the manufacturing sector has come in lower again. The S&P Global's Purchasing Managers Index are showing that the sector remains under pressure with PMI at 49 points. Now, any reading below 50 is seen as a contraction, while a number above 50 is seen as positive growth. Looking at the markets, after market close, the JSE all share up 496 points today. Industrials was stronger, banking stocks even stronger, up more than 1%, and that helped to lift the local JSE, with mining shares coming in a little lower today. Coronation was down 4.8%, 91 also down 3%. Life Healthcare down 1.6%, with Vodacom and Valterra down 1% respectively. Good day for Alphamin, they were up 10%. Glencore up more than 5%. Redefined Properties up 3%, with ABSA and Advotech up 2.5% respectively. Rand at this hour, it's 17.06 against the US dollar. You might be asking yourself why it's so strong. Well, the US Fed will release interest rates in the US, and that's weakened the dollar ahead of that decision at 19 Rand 90 against the euro and at 22 Rand 72 against the British pound. Price of gold, $4,216 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,639. Brent crude at $62.98 a barrel. Then on the Money Show, we'll be tackling that business confidence conversation with Isaiah Mhlanga, chief economist at Rand Merchant Bank. Market commentary from Chris Stewart later today, talking about those US interest rates and how they'll affect South Africa's market. Later on the show, it's almost Christmas and there's a lot of gift buying going ahead. We'll be talking about South Africa's 6 billion rand toy market. This will be with Catherine Jacobi, marketing manager at Toys R Us. And then later on, our shapeshifter is FNB CEO Harry Kellen. So do stay tuned for The Money Show.
.702 Drive at 29 minutes to 6. Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Mbali Dlamini standing by with an update.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela has given the Vaal University of Technology until Friday to respond to concerns about an alleged degree-selling syndicate at the institution. It comes amid a probe by VUT into an employee at the center of an alleged fraud scheme selling fake degrees to foreign nationals. The allegations date back to 2018. It's believed the whistleblower initially raised concerns about illegal registrations and irregular admissions, with senior management now accused of failing to act on the claims, while the Higher Education Department previously indicated it would wait for the outcomes of the university's internal probe. Manamela spokesperson Matshepo Sidat says the minister is now unhappy about the institution's conduct.
The minister is disturbed by allegations that senior management may have been in possession of credible evidence from a whistleblower for a year without taking decisive action.
Sidat says Manamela has written to the VUT Council chairperson demanding answers by the end of this week.
The minister has requested specific details on why there was an alleged 12-month delay in acting on the whistleblower's report, proof that consequence management is actively taking place, immediate measures to ring-fence the 2026 registration process to protect it from further manipulation.
Western Cape, 2 people have been shot dead in suspected gang violence outside the Athlone Magistrates Court. A 32-year-old man was killed while sitting in his car about 50 meters away from the court this afternoon. Minutes later, a 31-year-old was shot dead about 300 meters away from the Q-Town area. Police spokesperson Frederick van Wyk says crime scene experts are still combing the area for clues.
The suspect or suspect fled the scene in an unknown direction. The motive for these attacks forms part of our police investigations. Anyone with information about these fatal shooting incidents is kindly requested to contact Crime Stop on 08600 10111.
And at the same time, Western Cape Premier Alan Winde says a decision has not been made yet on the deployment of the South African National Defence Force to gang hotspots. Speaking during the province's safety briefing, Winde says he has written to the Defence and Police Ministers to provide data on the effectiveness of army deployment. It follows renewed calls to deploy the military in Cape Town as gang and gun violence escalates. Latest crime statistics revealed that gang activity is the biggest contributor of contact crimes across several police precincts in the metro. Mfuleni, Nyanga, Delft and Gryfontein police stations appear in the top 5 stations with the highest number of contact crimes in the country. Winde says he is waiting on reports from both ministers before deciding on military deployment.
Because we believe in data and evidence. And what would that data look like if we had to have them redeployed so that we can make up our minds on whether we support this call or we don't, and for what reason is a yes or a no.
Winde says he's also been receiving calls to declare the province's high crime rate a disaster.
We've seen a disaster declaration against gender-based violence at a national level, and there are processes and plans happening. What would the process be? I just want people to understand that in a province, they keep on saying the Premier can declare a disaster. That's not actually true. We would declare a disaster, an intention in a province. It still has to be finalised and declared via the National Disaster Centre.
A partly cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 15 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Well, in Illiondale, that's in the Edenville area, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. That's on Morafontein Road. Between Greenstone Mall and Parklands Drive, Tembisa, we still have traffic pressure on Olifantsfontein Road. This is between Madiba Drive and the R21. Rivonia, traffic sluggish on Rivonia Road between the N1 and 12th Avenue.
The top story in EWN, Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela has given the Vaal University of Technology until Friday to respond to concerns about an alleged degree selling syndicate at the institution.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone. So I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
So Julius Mkhonazi has been testifying at the Madlanga Commission, and he's all over the place. He really is. Some of the things he's saying are not making sense. He touches on things and then he leaves them. It's not making sense to me either. How does Ket Matala say, I'm going to donate these vehicles to you guys? Nje, you just donate cars to a metro. You don't expect anything in return. Oh, when they have the state of the city address and they're concerned about security that may be breached, you offer your services again. In fact, he didn't offer them because Julius Mkonazi says, I went and met Kat Ngamla, as they used to call each other. And Kat Matala didn't ask for anything in return. And you said, oh, I actually want this for advertising. Yet your vehicles are not even branded. It's just not making sense.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
For over a decade, Aluma Capital has had one simple mission: to help you secure the financial future that you deserve. Over the past 10 years, they've empowered thousands of clients with personalized strategies, expert advice, and impressive returns of up to 13.2%. Whether it's growing wealth, securing retirement, or planning for the unexpected, Aluma Capital is there every step of the way. Visit aluma.co.za today. Aluma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
So, Tim, what will you say? Is Bongs more of a sports betting man or a casino player?
Doesn't matter what I think. Fact is, whatever he chooses, he's got a chance to scratch and win.
What do you mean?
Betway Scratch is back, bigger than ever, and giving everyone the chance to peg a share of a guaranteed 1.5 million rand in daily prizes, along with 4 brand new cars.
Oh, it's the season of scratching and scoring. Only at betway.co.za.
Betway is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. NRGP counseling line 0800 006 008. All events are fixed odds betting games.
You want to build a quality home, the eye-catching jewel of the town, but your personality type is bargain hunter. It's only been 2 months and your quality home is the neighborhood nightmare. So abantu bazotini about the peeling paint that you call abstract art, the cracked walls that look like frown lines. Skip the embarrassment and the hunting. Make smarter decisions for your home. Visit Cash Build online to order quality cement, paint, and more at the lowest prices. Cash Build.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John. Good afternoon. How are you? I was appearing in court some other time. Then the case has been being postponed for some time, many times. So that day I snapped it, then I told the magistrate that I'm not going to come. Wow, it happened that this magistrate was angry with me. I said, no, I'm not going to come. Then all of a sudden I was taken to the cells by the police that no, this is contempt of court. And my children and my wife cried and cried, and then the magistrate rescinded his decision for me to be closed in.
But maybe in the magistrate's mind was exactly what happened. Like, okay, you're going to go and cool off for a while, and no better way to do that than to take you down into the cells. Yeah, bad idea to, however frustrated you are in court, to say, I am not going to be coming back. Yeah. Keep that thought to yourself, I would think. 19 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
So what's going to happen now is Anthony's going to give you a quick sports bulletin. Then he's going to do the rest of the show because I'm going to go off to watch cricket. There is a cricket match of note taking shape. Anthony, you have the details.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. No deal. I'm just saying it right now. Okay. But we'll start with the Proteas. They're into the closing 10 overs of this run chase against India. They're chasing down 359 for victory. What we've seen in the last hour is Devil Brevis come to the crease and secure a first maiden 50, first half century of his ODI career. He hit it for a 6, managing to get it. And then the very next ball, he was unfortunately dismissed, which means the Proteas are 289 for the loss of 4. They need 70 runs from the last 57 balls in order to secure victory there. While in football, match day 13 of the Betway Premiership will conclude this evening. Kaizer Chiefs have a first league game in a month as they take on Chippa United. Mamelodi Sundowns are away to Siwalele. A win for them would see them climb back to the top of the standings after Orlando Pirates overtook them over the weekend. Downs defender Aubrey Modiba feels that the log pressure and the title race is not something that they must overly overthink.
I think it's important to focus on ourselves as a team. Obviously, we're number 2 on the log, but there's still a lot of games to play. It's important for us to get the 3 points and go back to where we belong. We just have to do our job and make sure we win our games and not focus on other teams. And I think that can help us, be able to defend our title.
Meanwhile, Stellenbosch host Polokwane City. Durban City start life after Gavin Hunt with a clash against Orbit College. Magezi play Sekhukhune United. All games kick off at 7:30. 2 hours later at 9:30, the Premier League action will kick off with Forest meeting Wolves. Villa are at Brighton. Burnley play Palace. Leaders Arsenal host Brentford at the Emirates. Gunners manager Mikel Arteta labelled Declan Rice as a lighthouse.
A focal point, clarity and direction to everybody, So would you just look at him and you know where you have to head. He's got that presence, he's got that aura, and he's got that character to be that person and have that role in the team.
After that, 10:15, Liverpool face Sunderland, and we have Leeds welcoming Chelsea. And the Springboks have been placed in Pool B alongside Italy, Georgia and Romania for the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. Double World Cup winning All Black fly half Dan Carter, who was part of World Rugby's YouTube live stream, shared his thoughts on the defending champs' developments since the back-to-back wins.
They had some great consistency from 2019 to 2023 in terms of a core team that they built and grew. And I think the evolution of the South African team, why they've been so dominant in the last 2 years, is because they have bred a lot of young talent coming through. Some really talented players. You know what they're capable of doing, suffocating teams, putting pressure on them. But now they've got this backline to match their forward pack and play some open, expensive style of rugby. So hopefully they continue into the World Cup 2027.
And a quick final glance at the Proteas. They need 67 runs from the last 9 overs to secure victory in the second ODI against India. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16-6, the latest from the roads. Edenvale is proving tricky. Everywhere is, but you've got Edenvale on your mind, Karabo.
Yeah, that's where you can expect about a 30-minute delay. Illiondale in the Edenvale area, that's on Modderfontein Road between Greenstone Mall and Parklands Drive. There's also slow-moving traffic in Tembisa, Olifantsfontein Road between Madiba Drive and the R21. Rivonia traffic remains sluggish. This is on Rivonia Road between the N1 and 12th Avenue, while in Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 southbound between Olifantsfontein Road and the Batlu interchange. Four ways traffic remains congested. This is on Winnie Mandela Drive between Bryanston Drive and Uranium, while if you're traveling through the Santon Melrose area heading towards Midrand, traffic remains heavily backed up on the M1 northbound between Killarney Bains and the Batlu interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We got in a conversation a little bit earlier today about animals and birds and insects that find their way into the names of bands and possibly even individual artists. So, put very simply, I won't make a short story long. Give us your favorite musician band that has a name that is either an animal, bird, or an insect. And of course, you've got to give us your favorite song as well. And we'll play as many of those as we can. So straight into the zoo we go. Straight into the let me rather put it straight into the wilderness. Into the wilderness. Karabo Chali, you've got one for us.
Yeah, no, one of my favorite rock hip hop bands is the Gorillaz.
Okay.
And then this Clint Eastwood song. I don't know why it's called Clint Eastwood, because maybe I guess when it starts they have that ooh, 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 ooh. You know that wasn't Clint Eastwood the cowboy guy? No?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in all kinds of...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so maybe from
that.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Probably.
The theme.
Yes.
We'll have a listen.
But then the song is called Clint Eastwood. So, one of my favorite songs.
Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood. We are underway. Insects, animals, birds. Misspelling is not a problem. If, for example, the Beatles is not spelt exactly like Beatles, we don't have a problem with that. So if there's some tweaking on the spelling, we're cool. Completely cool. But do not give us animals in song titles, please. It's not going to make the cut.
got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. I ain't happy, I'm feeling glad. I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on.
Finally, someone let me out of my cage. Now, time for me is nothing cause I'm counting no A's. Nah, I couldn't be there. Nah, you shouldn't be scared. I'm good at repairs and I'm under each snare. Intangible, bet you didn't think, so I command you to. Panoramic view, look, I'll make it all manageable. Pick and choose, sit and lose, all you different crews. Chicks and dudes, who you think is really kicking tunes. Picture you getting down in a picture tube, like you lit the fuse. You think it's fictional, mystical, maybe.
Damon Albarn, Jamie Hewlett, Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood. That little reference in the beginning, I thought it was from the, having not heard it, I wondered if it was from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. But anyone know what Clint Eastwood movie that references? Or maybe it's just creating a mood. If you know something about that, drop me a note as well. Right, animals, insects, birds, in the names of bands and artists. We want yours, please, on 072 702 1702.
In a bag, I'm useless, but not for long. The future.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes.
Timeless tunes. At 10 a.m.
Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m. Pushaza Subia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classic you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m., Richard Wambas
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
The stage, the lights, the crowd, everything's perfect until suddenly someone slips on the dance floor. A speaker lands in the buffet. In an instant, your masterpiece is a mess. That's why Auto & General is there with Events Liability Insurance. We handle the unexpected so you don't have to. Plan the party, wow the guests, leave the rest to us. For more information on Events Liability Insurance, visit autogen.co.za. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Solve the spinning saga with Hollywood Bet's Spinazonke Mystery Parcel. Dive into a world of secret escapes and magical marvels, and you could win a share of 1 million rand in cash and bonus bets. Bet R2 or more on selected Playtech games and get lost in the scintillating suspense every Wednesday from 2:30 to 8:30 p.m. and Sunday from 4:30 to 10:30 p.m. Ready to unleash your winning streak? Log in and bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
At Checkers, we do more so you get extra this Christmas with over 2 billion rand in festive savings. Like Coca-Cola Original Taste Less Sugar Soft Drink 2 litres, 2 for 44 rand. And Lancewood Double Cream Yogurt 1 kg, any 2 for 79 rand. Plus, stand a chance to win your share of 7 million rand in prizes. Simply buy any 3 qualifying products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers. T&Cs apply.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
There are an extraordinary number of bands that have insects and animals of all kinds in their names. The Beatles was one that came to mind. The Scorpions is another. And here's a few more. Boomtown Rats, Buffalo Springfield, Howling Wolf. What else? How did that one get in? That's not Def Leppard. Def and Leopard not spelled properly, but like I said, this is not an English exam. Iron Butterfly, wow, that's way back. Los Lobos, that refers to wolves. Of course, I'm sure many of you know that. Three Dog Night, and on it goes. The Eagles, low-hanging fruit in terms of birds in the thing. And then there's some bands I've absolutely never heard of, like Modest Mouse and Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Nope, don't know either.
702 WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
There was a lovely song sang by the South African choir that won Golden Buzzer at America's Got Talent. And it was sang by one of their crew called Songbird. That was a lovely song, and that was a very lovely event to behold.
I moved to California in the summertime. I changed my name thinking that it would change my mind. I thought that all my problems, they would stay behind. I was a stick of dynamite and it just was a matter of time, yeah. Oh dang, oh my, now I can't hide. Said I knew myself, but I guess I lied. It's okay.
Yeah, what a gorgeous voice and a fabulous song. Nightbird, the stage name of singer-songwriter Jane Marshevsky, and that was America's Got Talent back in 2021. And there's a story behind it. She was battling advanced cancer at the time and sadly passed away at the age of 31 in February of the following year. 6 minutes to 6.
Hi, John. I have to jump in with the Animal Band, and I'm going to bring the rock this time. I'm going to go with the band Alien Ant Farm, and they did a fantastic version of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. It's really fantastic. This is from Paul. Thanks. Bye.
Alien Ant Farmer. Never heard them before, never heard of them before, but enjoyed that. Thank you. What else? We've got Counting Crows. Counting Crows. This is from Amy, who wants to hear the song Big Yellow Taxi.
They paved paradise and put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum and charge the people $1.50 to see them. No, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone?
Big Yellow Taxi, the original by Joni Mitchell. Quick poll. Who did it better? Different. Very, very different. Joni Mitchell did it a la Joni Mitchell. I think I prefer the original, but I like that as well. People are saying a couple of other bands, the Eagles, somebody asked for that. Scorpion Kings, the return of Scorpion Kings, that's a request. And here's some more voice notes.
Good day. The song I'd like you to play is by the Eagles, Hotel California. Denise Abrams. Thank you.
Hi, mine is gonna be Seal, and the song being a Kiss from a Rose. It's Margaret here.
used to be a graying tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remains a drug that's the high and not the pill. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen? Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave.
Kiss from a Rose by Seal. There are so many suggestions coming in. I don't know if we can get a chance to play all of them. Let me just share a few of them with you, and then maybe you can go and look. Effort shares two band names, Pavlov's Dog and Budgie. Snoop Doggy Dog. Someone else asked for the Ndlovu Youth Choir. Don't think so. Don't see the animal reference in that. Scorpion Kings, I mentioned that as well. Bird in the name of the band, Dendera Kings by Simon Chimbetu. Sounds like a Zimbabwean artist. And Dendera is, what is that? A Shona name for a southern ground hornbill? Anyway, very nice. One last thought.
Yo, guys, this is the day that 702 played better music than 5FM. Keep it going.
Yeah, thank you very much. We love doing music with you at the end of the show after everything that we've had to deal with in the news. It's nice just to get a sense of you, of the music that you love, throw in a couple of tracks that are very special to us, and just see people's creativity in responding to whatever theme we pick. We'll do it again at the same time tomorrow. From me, John Perlman, and the rest of the team, good night.
And now, The Money Show with Moteo Paripe.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Krotis is brought to you by Absa CIB. Discover the latest trends shaping digital assets across Africa. Download the Absa Africa Digital Assets Insights 2025. Tonight on The Money Show, we talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is something President Cyril Ramaphosa mentioned during his visit to Mozambique. Is it just a fancy policy or one the continent can use to get ahead? That conversation with Dr. Dale McKinley, a political economist, joining us for that conversation. Isaiah Mhlanga, Chief Economist at Rand Merchant Bank, will talk to us about the latest numbers for business confidence in the country. They're definitely looking up, a good way to close off the year. Then our market commentary covered by Chris Stewart, Portfolio Manager